the uniform is your skin color, right? So
Yeah.
all got different color skins. So just like the Star Wars, you have the Force. Well, we are a force to here. When you say you're on the Force, y'all say that all the time, right? That's an actual thing, and there's a power that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And when, for whatever reason, as we're growing up, we don't talk about our generation turned around and give them back.
Yeah.
It used to not exist.
Yeah.
It had to be civilians protecting us when we got back. It's kind of their role, but not with us. It's changed.
Yeah.
So this is absolutely positive, and we're looking out for all of them.
Yeah. I mean, good.
Every freaking one of them.
Yeah. Good always leads to good, right?
Yeah. And even when we're in the uniform, we talk smack to each other and yelling, and that's love.
Yeah. Yeah. And nobody else is allowed to do that, though.
Nobody else is allowed to do it. Period. You can't even try.
Yeah. Yep.
Doesn't even come out right.
Yep. Again, like, people are hurting. A lot of first responders and military people are hurting.
We're going through that transitional period out there.
Yeah. You're damn right. Yeah.
All the Jedis are stepping up.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
This is good, man. How long did it take you to get that down there?
Brother, so when I went undercover, so here's the thing. God didn't bless me with a chin, right? So underneath this, I got a lack of chin. So two things. God's like, you're gonna be okay.
He gave you a badass whiskers though.
Yeah. He said, I'm not gonna give you a chin. I'm not gonna give you a butt. So I got like two backs. I got like two necks. Like he just took a break at the end. And so I covered up with the beard, but it took me about 1.5 years because what people don't get is you got to look homeless, right? And I did a phenomenal job looking homeless because, again, I think I sent you some pictures, but I had cornrows and on the undercover thing, and I just looked. I mean, people would honestly, real talk. I would get in an elevator and like an old lady would kind of move to the other side of the elevator.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because it grows out and down.
Yeah.
And then when I retired, I had to clean up a little bit because people just, you intimidate people. Nobody wants to give you, provide you with opportunities when you look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so I cleaned up, so I was able to shape it a little bit. But now I'll tell you, I have more respect for women now than ever before. Because I used to say to my girlfriend, I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, what is taking you so long to get out here? Like, I'm ready to go. And now it's like, hold on, I gotta blow dry it. I gotta put oil in.
What's that something that looks like in the morning, bro? Like a
it's
schnauzer.
It's a rat's nest. I mean, I gotta. They're stuck in my nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have something in my tooth. No, that's my beard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man. And then you gotta. I mean, you gotta back brush it. I'm telling you, if I took a week off of like taking care of my beard, I would have to shave it off because it's just so itchy and nasty.
When you get that long, you gotta put product and all.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
No.
Oh my gosh.
And then you can only trust certain barbers. Because motherfuckers don't understand like how to cut a beard unless they've had a beard.
Right.
And so you go to the wrong, because I travel a bunch and a lot of times like you need to get lined up and look presentable.
Yeah.
And you get with the wrong barber and they have like a dark colored shirt on. That's not a barber that you want because you got to see the lines through the mirror and through like a light colored shirt. So that's my first cue on it. But yeah, because you can only trust certain barbers. If they've never cut a beard before, I won't even let them touch them. Like, you can fuck up anything up here. That's fine. I'll shave my head at the end of the day, but this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we got a good barber shop in there. They got the hot foam and the razor and the chairs that go all the way back.
Yeah.
The hot towel.
Yeah.
It's kind of a...
Exactly.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you get your show. So today, before we get to our special guest, let's kick it off with our weekly Patreon question. And this week, we've got an interesting one. What is the wildest mode of transportation that you've ever taken?
Oh, the wildest mode of transportation.
Yeah,
I was in Turkey, and
I
was in Turkey, and I got to ride a camel.
Camel, right?
Yep.
Camel.
Yep. That was the first thing that
First
popped
one
right
popped
in
into my head, too.
Yep.
Donkey.
that's a good one.
I never got on a donkey.
Through the mountains. It had to be camel.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was definitely a camel, 100%, without a doubt. It's the first thing that popped in my head, and I remember sitting on top of it. And again, I was a little heavier back then, but it was something else. Yeah. And then they
Hunters ridden
spit
a
too.
camel.
Those are some nasty animals too. They spit.
Oh, yeah.
They'll just stop right in the middle of the road and drop deuce and just you're like, wow.
I fell through the floor one time in a house over in Afghanistan, and it was a barn was underneath it, and they had him parked in there. He was I'd never seen a black one before. He had all these black tones on him.
Yeah, it's like a black squirrel. Like you see the black squirrel, like
Yeah, they're rare, right? That'd be mine.
That's why
too.
they're keeping them inside.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think was going through that camel's head? Like,
I don't know, man, because I did. I fucking plopped through it, man. He was kind of sitting there staring at me. I was like, hey, but
he's probably like, you have food or what?
yeah,
You gonna feed
you know how they throwing those lips up,
Yeah.
man. They're they're spectacular to look at if you
Yeah.
don't see them all the time, man. It's kind of walking into something. And they're like bald eagles over there, man. If you run into one or hurt one, they're funny about that.
Oh yeah, that's their thing. Yep,
For sure. What about you?
that's a good question.
I think mine was this motorized rickshaw thing that in Iquitos, Peru, they pick you up at the airport in them. Like, that's really all they had in the town were these. It wasn't a typical rickshaw. I don't remember what made it so scary. They went really fast, but you're just kind of in this bucket in the back. And I was nervous that we were going to, because they're zooming by. I think that was mine.
That just made me think about those pictures we saw when we were down in Mexico, the Mayans hauling those.
Oh, yeah, in the chairs.
So a chair on his
my
back,
gosh.
hauling him up. And I was like, a Mayan.
Hey, you gotta make sure you got a good, like, solid rickshaw dude in front.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it
otherwise,
felt
you
like
gotta
it was
you gotta
gonna
hill. You're like,
tip.
we're gonna be here for a while.
When they were making turns, it felt like it was going to tip over, and we had our luggage and everything. I was with Liz McInbill.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. It was an adventure for
What about
sure.
you?
Hunter's got to have a speed.
So,
All the
when
places
I was
you've been
thinking of that jet boat that we took in New Zealand,
I hated that.
it's called the
yeah,
I
shot
hated
over
that
jet.
thing.
What's it called?
The shot over jet.
Yeah.
in New
That's
Zealand.
like shallow water boat, right? They haul that
Shallow
shit-
water.
yeah.
And they go so fast, and they'll just whip a right degree turn right there.
I freaking cried. I wanted off so bad, and then that just made the guy want to go faster and more dangerous. And I'm like, I hate you so much.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
No, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lassoed two sharks together and rowed across the
Yeah.
like Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. All right, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for being here.
Man, thank you.
You got a
very
hell of
much
a
for
story.
having me. Man, I appreciate it. I mean, again, like I said, this is such an amazing opportunity for me. So thank you for having me and having us down here. It's means
bet.
the world to me.
You bet. All right, so let's back it up from the beginning, man. Where
Yeah.
do you come from?
So born in New York City, right outside of New York City in Long Island, a place called Huntington, and then raised in a town called Morristown, New Jersey. So northern New Jersey. And one of six kids, mom and dad. Like I said, I lost my dad last January, and they've been together for 60 something years. So just great parents, great family, and beginning we didn't have a lot. So we had we grew up. Like I said, two older brothers, and again, they were big.
I was going to ask you where you sat.
Yeah,
Matt.
so I'm the youngest boy. I got a younger sister. She's my ride or die. She's been with me from from everything. I mean, she's always had my back, no matter what's happened, no matter what people said or anything else. She's always just been like, I care about you. How are you? And so she's been my ride or die.
Aren't they
for a
great
long
to
time.
have?
Yeah.
How far apart
because
are you?
What's that?
How far apart are you?
We're about 5 years.
Oh, 5
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so grew up in northern New Jersey, and again, we didn't really have much, and so two older brothers, and again, they weren't the best athlete, but they were big, huge boys, and so I was always the smaller one.
What does that mean?
Like 6'3", 250. Like,
That's
so my
big.
older brother, my older brother Steve was just a big bodybuilder. I mean, he's an accountant, which is great, right? So, like, the funniest story. So
Oh, that's a great mix right there.
Yeah, so I was a cop in Virginia Beach and working day shift. I remember coming back into Chesapeake, and he had all these workers over at his house, and they're doing all this stuff, and I show up on like a lunch break, and so I come rolling in. Again, you're talking 6'3", 250 of muscle. I mean, he just got muscle coming out of his earlobes, and I come walking in my full uniform, and you got all these guys working on his kitchen, right? And afterwards, one of the foremen came up to my brother, and they were all Hispanic workers, and came up to my brother and was like, what do you do for work? And he's like, I'm an accountant. And I remember the foreman was like, sure you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah, I bet you are. Right? Because I rolled in, and everyone was like, put the lampshade on. But yeah, so those are my two older brothers. My second older brother, Neil, he's about 6'2". He played football at Holy Cross, so big boys, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Cool.
big boys. But I never really crossed over that like 6 foot mark, like 5'11", but I was always a little bit of a better athlete, a little bit more athletic, if you could say. So they always kind of like beat on me, and that really kind of helped. And so
Yeah, it makes tough.
yeah, yeah. So growing up, I played a sport called lacrosse. And which is just, I mean, I know it's kind of blowing up now, like across the country, but for us in Jersey and New York, it was just, I mean, it was everything. It was like the rodeo down here, and everybody played it. And my two older brothers were defensemen. And so being a big, solid defenseman, they needed an attackman to train on. So that's how I became, an offensive type of attackman. And so what happened was 8th grade summer, I'm playing lacrosse, and I'm playing against a small little defenseman, and I start scoring goals on this dude. So I probably had like 3-4 goals. Again, I was a big, solid dude early on in growing up. So I grew up pretty quick. And I'm scoring goals. My dad's sitting up in the stands, and the guy that was sitting next to my dad says, "Hey, is that your son out there?" My dad says, "Yeah." He's like, "He's pretty good, man. What's he gonna do for high school next year?" My dad said, "Well, he's gonna go to Morristown High. He's gonna go to our local high school." And so the guy said, "Well, would he ever be interested in going to Morristown Beard?" My dad's like, "No." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Well, number one, it's $50,000 a year, and I don't make that for all my boys, let alone, for one child to go, and it's not even like..."
What did your dad do?
My dad was an accountant too, but yeah, just kind of worked up through the ranks.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's where your brother got it then, right?
Yeah, so that's where my brother got it. So he just kind of worked with numbers and was always just like bookkeeping, things like that. And so that guy's name was Finn Wentworth, and he's a part owner of the Brooklyn Nets and career philanthropist, but he was alumni to this prestigious private high school called Morristown Beard. So he said to my dad, he said, would Matt be interested in going to Morristown Beard with my son, which was the defenseman that I was scoring goals on? And so I remember it was weird that night, right? Like, you ever come home, like, something's up. So like we sat at dinner, and usually like the boys just eat and we're out, like we're just gone, right? Mom makes you sit down, you say your grace and everything else, but you got to have dinner. But afterwards it was like free for all, like get out of dinner and go do your things, whether it's like working out, whether it's getting out into the neighborhood to go play sports. But everybody just kind of sat there. And I remember it was weird. And my dad says, "Hey, Matt, come on back to the table." So I put my plate up, came back to the table, and my dad said, my two older brothers were sitting there. My dad said, "What do you think about coming to Morristown Beard or going to Morristown Beard next year?" I said, "Dad, the last thing I want to do is go to Morristown Beard." I said, "I don't like any of ththose kids. Like, those are the rich kids that make fun of me. Like, they make fun of our clothes. They drive through like where we play, like over to the basketball hoop and over the basketball court. And I want no part of that." I'm like, "Why are you asking this?" And he said, "Because I think you might have an opportunity to go to Morristown Beard on a full scholarship." I said, "Dad, I don't want to go there." I said, "I want to go play sports and grow." Like, from the time I was knee high to a grasshopper, I've been playing sports with these guys: football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse. Like, I know every one of these guys. Why would I want to go to Morristown Beard and play with them? And so that's when my other brother Neil, came in, and he said, "Matt, this is a great opportunity for you. The attrition rate's like 99.1.2, So I always call that my first undercover operation. So I agreed to go.
Damn right.
Yeah, and it was all of that.
Matter of fact, it should be delivered like that for your kids.
Yeah.
If you get out there and y'all are listening, you want to get your kids to go somewhere, it's like, hey, it's
Yeah.
a top secret mission.
Yeah.
You got to go in undercover.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and it's like, it was just an eye-opening aspect. And it was cool, man, because when I was writing when I was doing the screenwrite, the guy that I was working with, he found a picture of me in my freshman year, like on the archives of Morristown Beard, and I always kind of joke. So I didn't know before like the first day that you had to wear a shirt and tie every day. So I had like one shirt, one tie, and they were mismatched because I wasn't like a person that understood style or colors or matching. It was like I was a sweatpants and t-shirt person, and so I had I shit you not, there's a picture out there. It's on my Instagram. It's a pink shirt with like a red tie. You know what I mean? But it's like an all pink. It's not like I was trying to be like trendy or anything. You know what I mean? It was like it was a button down shirt that fit, and that's what I wore. And so I remember pulling in the first day, and we had a Buick.
Looked like it'd been washed with a red towel, something like that.
100%. Like I remember people looking at me, but I was like, I thought I looked pretty good. Like, I never put on a shirt and tie before. And I remember pulling in, we had this Buick Roadmaster, like big
one.
Yeah, like the Clark, like Griswold one. And
that's what you rolled up in?
Yeah, that's what we rolled up in. And so the car in front of me was an F-150 Lightning. And it was like, there was only like 2,000 of them made back in the day, right? And so I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, Dad, look, that's one of those Lightnings. They were like 500 horsepower.
Yeah.
And then I started looking around. I'm like, all these cars, like Mercedes and like Porsches. And I'm like, so I get out and I start walking around. And so now, again, this is my first day. Now, I've been on campus for a little bit, like, because football players came in early. We had to do 2-a-days and then all this other stuff. But this is my first day on campus at school. And so my first class is my history class. And I get into history class, and again, I'm like a couple minutes late because everything's outside, right? Oh, shit. So everything's outside. So it's not like four walls where you just go into like classroom A100 and it's A101. So you have all these different buildings. So this was just eye-opening to me. People are like hanging out on the quad. Like, I didn't even know what a quad was until then. And so I finally found my class, and the teacher, Mr. Franz, so I walk in, I'm a little bit late, but I sit down, and the girl next to me, like, looked just like Wednesday from the Addams Family. So
Nice.
I lean in. I was like, you know, you look like Wednesday. And I really didn't think it was her or anything like that. But she has, acne on her, whatever. But I was like, you look like Wednesday. And so she rolls her eyes. I was like, okay, my bad. I was trying to give you a compliment. So the dude to my left, I was like, bro, like fucking Wednesday from the Advent, like stark resemblance. He's like, stop, man. I'm like, everybody's acting weird here. Like, it's already a weird school, but everybody's acting weird. But then Mr. Franz, the teacher's like, Griff, outside. Damn. I'm like, I haven't been in school now for but 15 minutes. And I knew Mr. Franz. He was one of our coaches, just a good dude. So he pulls me out. And he's like, Griff, we have a celebrity in class. Leave her alone. It was Christina Ricci sitting right next to me. It was my first day in class, right? So the guy to my left.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. So the guy to my left was Jamie Siminoff.
All right.
Owner, creator, Ring Doorbell, been on a Shark Tank. So I'm sitting in class for my very first day, and these are the two people that I'm sitting next to. And so that was kind of how my first day went, just being, just overwhelmed and everything else. But yeah, and it was, again, like I said, it was just an eye-opening experience because, again, I'm a little overwhelmed with everything, just trying to figure out life. And everybody kind of walks a certain way, they kind of talk a certain way. But we're the first scholarship class that ever came to Morristown Beard. And
were you the only one?
There was three of us. Yeah, there was three of us. Yeah, and one of them to this day is still one of my really good friends. Lived down in South Carolina, and then the other one passed away. And I remember later on that day we had gym class, and I've always been an athletic kid. I've always loved sports, and I remember just oh man, thank God! Finally gym class where the great equalizer in life. Because again, I don't even care if it's dodgeball, basketball, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what your bank account looks like. It doesn't matter what car you showed up in because we can now play a game. It's me against you, and that's it. And so I got down to the gymnasium, and it's this outdoor beautiful thing. I get down into the locker room, and everybody's circled up. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'm like, all right, I guess rich kids do fight. So unbeknownst to me, I was the one getting into the fight, but I didn't know that.
Oh gosh.
So the Red Sea parts, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. And I walk in, and there's this guy, Rob, who's a senior, and he comes over to me. And now Rob we were battling out for the free safety spot on the varsity football team, and I won the spot when Friday Night Lights was coming up that first Friday. So he comes over to me, puts a brim of his hat on my forehead, and he says, you think you're taking my starting spot on the varsity football team? And I looked at him. I grew up, I was a little bit of a punk growing up. So I looked at him and said, pretty sure I already did. And wham, so he hits me. So I took it. And again, he's 18. I'm just about to turn 15, right? So I'm getting ready to turn 15 in about a month. But he put it on me. I mean, he got me pretty good. He got me with that first one. I got a couple body shots in before they dragged the ball off. But I go to the principal's office, or the student manager, whatever you want to call him, at a private school. And I'll never forget it, man. He looked at me, and I'm thinking he was going to apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. This shouldn't have happened. You're part of our scholarship class. You know what he said? He said, this is why I didn't want to have your kind here. So I'm sorry. My kind? I don't know what that means. What does my kind mean? He goes, that's why you shouldn't be here. And so I said, I didn't do anything. I said, I was just walking in gym class, just ready to get changed. And now a senior comes in and picks a fight with me. I did the best I could to defend myself, but he punched me first. He started the whole thing. So what? He said 3 days out of school suspension. I said, all right, well, no arguing, right? There's no arguing with a bully. So you just don't, so just took it. And I remember going home, but then Friday night was our first football game. And this was Wednesday. First day in school, so think about it. Thursday out of school, Friday out of school suspension, Monday out of school suspension. So now I missed the Friday night football game that I worked so hard. And I remember, like I said, the field is my great equalizer in life, and it still is to this day. When I can get out, again, I like the gym. When I need to think, this morning, I really want to think about things that I wanted to say here. I just sat on the treadmill. I just sweat and this is a great equalizer in life. Nobody can bother me there. And on the field, it doesn't matter what you bring, what you showed up in, or what kind of clothes you had, what shoes you got. It's me against you. And I remember how hard I worked for that spot, man. And and then on Saturday morning after the Friday night football game, the other scholarship kid sent me a text, man. He said, man, I just think it's pretty messed up that Rob got to play. I said, what do you mean? So I figured he got suspended too. He had a Saturday detention and started that Friday night football game. That's why, when I listen to a lot of the things that you say, Marcus, it just hits home, man, because you're right, man. Life's not fair. You know, and it's not. And the quick.
Well, the worst slap is favoritism.
Yeah.
When you roll in, and then when they downgrade because of no fault of your own, you know, that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know why you feel that hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's comes with the youth. I guess it does. Yeah. But yeah, that one, I hate those kind of slaps.
And now I got four more years. This is inside of the first almost 72 hours that I've been on campus here. And I remember coming home and I'm just I told my brother, I said, man, I'm not doing this, man. What am I doing this for? So I can go to college. Like, I can go to college if I want to. I'm a good athlete. I'll work hard to get it. And I remember he said, look, like, they throw you the wolves, come back and lead the pack. And you know, I was impressionable at that time. And yeah, man. And I came back. That was the only football game that I didn't start for the rest of my career. I never. And that's my senior year. I became the senior class president. And yeah, and I always say, man, that was my first undercover operation. It's so crazy because I look back when I wrote my book, man. I wrote it chapter by chapter, right? And I made a promise. So like when we'll get a chance, I'm assuming to talk about my partner that passed away, and I made a promise to him that like I would, if I didn't like what a chapter said, I would delete the whole chapter and I would start fresh because I only had one shot at telling my story. And so I can't count the number of times that like I didn't read my whole book all the way through until really I hit the publish button, or right before the publish button. And I realized like if the things didn't happen in Morristown Beard, I wouldn't have lived in, you know, in the undercover world. I wouldn't have, you know, because again, like what I didn't realize at that time, but a lot of rich kids, they don't drink Natty Light. They don't go drink Busch, you know, beer. It's not Coors Light. It's mixed drinks, just like bourbon and scotch. And
like the parents.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like
they're sophisticated.
I mean, yeah, sophisticated. I mean, it's pink.
They still party like rock stars and get after it, man, but they do it a high end way.
Yeah, and it wasn't about like they weren't packing a bowl with some marijuana. It was lines of shit. It was like Special K. It was all these different things. But I learned and I watched and I saw the packaging methods. I saw the way, you know, the way these certain things hit and like bumping a line. Like I never seen anybody bump a line until I was in high school. I didn't even know what that meant. And that paid me dividends because I realized that like a lot of these kids didn't have cash. They had checking accounts, they had trust funds, right? So what did they do if they needed something to go bump a line with? They would go into McDonald's and just grab a handful of straws and put it in the center console. And all they would do is they would just cut that straw in half and they would bump a line. And so, you know, fast forward almost 5-6 years after that, making a traffic stop, I saw half a straw in a cup holder and I immediately knew there's gonna be dope in there.
You can't believe that's the funny thing is once you learn how to see,
yeah,
and the others can't. They're just doers.
Yeah,
and they just blend, right? They learn, but they don't actually. They haven't removed yourself like that.
Yeah,
it's eye opening, isn't it?
It is.
The police have that great.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all. Yeah. I had to be trained like that in the teams. It was a completely different element, but that's something. Yeah, that sight you got,
and it just and you never lose it.
No.
I was driving the other day and I was and I got this lifted up truck and I wound up looking over and girl had like the you know like the little like gram papers and I'm like still got the eye, you know, still got the eye. I'm like there it is. I'm like I'd be making traffic stop right now and get me a felony arrest.
You know, these days it feels like every time you check the news, it's just more uncertainty. And look, we can't control the world, but we can take control of our family's future. That's why I want to talk to you about life insurance through Select Quote. Whether you need $500,000 or $50 million in coverage, Select Quote helps you find the right policy for you. They are not some one-size-fits-all operation. They're actually licensed insurance agents that work with you to tailor a plan that fits your life and your budget. And best part, it only takes about 15 minutes of your time. They've been doing this for nearly 40 years, helped over 2 million people, and have secured over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. And if you've got a health condition, high blood pressure, diabetes, even heart disease, Select Quote still partners with carriers that can cover you. And if you're in good health, you might even get same-day coverage with no medical exam required. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/TNQ. Go to selectquote.com/TNQ today to get started. That is selectquote.com/TNQ.
But yeah, and I decided at the end of that, man, like I got in a little bit of trouble my senior year, and I decided I didn't want to do what all these guys did. Again, I felt like my undercover operation was over at this point, and I knew that they were going off into college, and I listened to the way they were talking about going to college. They were just running back another 4 years. I didn't want to do that, and went down and stayed with my oldest brother in Chesapeake, Virginia. And again, we're just lifting every day, working out. I was cleaning carpets with a place called Carpet Master every day, but I saw the commercial that said "Let the journey begin." I'm like, hell yeah! Like that's exactly what we did, and so that's how I joined the Navy, man. And
they used to have great commercials when we were kids.
Yeah, we did, man. I mean, those commercials.
The movies were the best.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to jump up. Let's go. I'm ready to go right now. Sign my name. Like, what do I need? You want some blood? You want a lock of hair? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, Hollywood used to do a great job
They sure did.
making recruiting movies. Those badasses we grew up with.
Yep.
What year was that?
That was in '97.
Yeah, that's when it got me.
Yeah.
A little bit before that, but when the movies.
Yeah.
Freaking movies.
Oh, 100%.
Man.
And then I went down to the recruiting office and it was really kind of the Navy thing, but I saw the Marine thing and I saw like the sharp like uniforms they have. Like, I'm gonna talk to this dude.
Hey, those freaking guys, dude, and gals, the Marines.
Yeah. He came out high and tight.
Uniforms, man.
And so I talked to him for a minute, but I said, you know what? The let the journey begin made sense to me. So I went and talked to the Navy guy and he said, look, I'm gonna tell you like this. With that office down there, you're going to get stationed someplace and you're going to stay in that place for 2.5 years if you're lucky. Maybe 3 or 4. With us, you may be stationed someplace, but you can see the whole world.
See the world, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't like the port, guess what? You're pulling out in 3 days anyway. I was like, that's what I want. And again, I picked a nice, comfy, job, MOS, or rate, whatever you want to call it. I was going to be a sonar tech. So, and the only reason I picked
that's pretty popular back in the late 90s,
and
man.
you know why it was popular? Because everybody wanted to go to San Diego and live out in San Diego. And it was like a year.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, it was a year. And I'd never been to the West Coast. I'm like, all I wanted to do was get as far away from, from where I was from. And got out to the West Coast. I mean, California burritos and Tijuana. And
man, we were just talking about the freaking Freebirds burritos. And,
man, you can't. To this day, I got a group chat with all my Navy buddies, and we just every now and then somebody will put a picture of a California burrito. It's just, and they're the best thing in the entire world. Yeah, I
love San Diego so much, man.
Yeah,
stepping off the plane out there.
Come on, there is nothing better than a California burrito. They got French fries on side in there with the carne asada beef. Oh man, forget about it. Now I'm
Let's go right now. Load up.
Yep. But yeah, so I was gonna be a sonar tech. I had a blast listening to submarines, and so I get to my ship down in Mayport, Florida, and my buddy Adam and I were good swimmers. And again, I grew up kind of on the beach in the ocean, always swimming, always surfing. I actually thought I invented boogie boarding. I shit you not, man. So I was a young kid, and me and Mitch Sipp were at the end of the summer, we had rafts that we bought. Like we saved up all summer long. It was like $7 for this raft, but we were like, you used to take like little like plastic bottles and cans over to the recycling thing. You get like 5 cents. So we would save up. Finally got these rafts, but we only had like a week left, and so we started using the rafts. We would push each other into the wave. And we're like, this is a blast, right? It was obviously boogie boarding, but we had never seen anybody else do it. So we boogie board for our last like 3 days on these rafts that we bought for like $7. And we come back the next summer, everybody's got boogie boards, and we're like, we fucking invented boogie boarding. That's my claim to fame. I still think I did, so
that's
I'm gonna hold
funny.
on to that. I should have patented it. But
how long was your stretch in? You said you went to Florida out of boot camp?
Yeah.
On what ship were you on?
USS DeWitt.
Yeah. How long were there?
For the rest of my career. Yeah, for the next 4 years. So about a year and a half into that, the ops lieutenant looked at me and Adam, and we were getting ready to go on deployment, and he said, y'all interested in being SAR swimmers? I'm like, yeah. First he was like, y'all are good swimmers, huh? I'm like, yep. And he said, y'all interested in being rescue swimmers? I said, yep, sure. I'm like, I thought it was just a collateral duty. And he said, well, I need you to muster up. It's like a Monday or Tuesday. So I need you to muster up and do the entrance like testing. It was just like, I think it was like a 500 swim. It was like a mile and a half, some push-ups and some sit-ups.
That's right.
And so, so we
pull-ups.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we knocked that out real quick. And he said, both of you guys passed? I said, yeah, we both passed. And I remember him saying to us, like, I need you guys to pass this because the upcoming deployment, they didn't have any SAR swimmers. And
because they can't leave without them, right?
They can't leave without them. And so, or they can't have flight ops.
Yeah.
And now we're on a go fast, like the counter drug ops.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I really need y'all to pass. Like, I can't have you guys, tapping out of this thing. And I didn't like that should have been my first clue that I was getting ready to do something that I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like
they don't lead. There's a straight up way to say it, and then there's the way they can get you with it, man. Which is beautiful.
Yeah,
freaking beautiful. But That's a thing.
So yeah, and we got out there that first day, man. It was an eye-opening experience. There was a whole rack of us, and I remember the first run. I mean, we were just on the blacktop on the tarmac, just and so we're gonna go for a 3-mile run. He's like, "Don't be last." And I remember him screaming at the whole 3-mile run, "Don't be last." And you said it. You said it very well, and I say it all the time. Man, Navy stands for never again volunteer yourself. That was the only time that I volunteered myself. I should have said.
Dude, when that freaking chief told me that, I wanted to laugh, but I was so miserable.
Yeah.
You laugh later.
Yeah, 100%. And so we get on this 3-mile run. And I was smart enough at that point, right? Because again, I grew up, with a little bit of hustle in me, and so I'm like, well, I'm not going to be first because that's not the best idea.
You don't be there,
but I damn sure don't want to be last because he's screaming, "Don't be last!" So he's going to make an example out of somebody.
Yep.
And this is like 98, 99. Hazing was legal.
Yep.
They didn't care. There was no cameras on the poles. Nobody cared whether or not they punched you, hit you, kicked you. So
those are good old days back then.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh yeah, they put it on you. And so we had about a football field left. Everybody takes off. And so we're just hustling out. I mean, we're just full out sprint, not to be last. And what they did is they pulled off like the last 10 guys and they had them in the push-up position. They're spraying the hose. And I remember just sitting there looking, and I'm like, God dang, this is not, I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm here. And he said, "Did we say 3? We meant 6. Yeah. Go again." And I was like, man. And that was the first lesson. I realized that when you thought it was over, it was never over.
No.
And you just never knew what was next. You never knew how far. And again, like I look back at that and I look back at that methodology, you just never knew when to give all you had. So all you did was constantly give all you had.
That's it.
And that mentality has paid me dividends for the longest. And I always kind of joke. So I had a
Were you last?
I did, yeah. So me and Adam lasted, yeah. So it was the two of us, and I always say I didn't make it. It was only 6 weeks, and I didn't make it 6 weeks. I just made it day by day, and I say that because we learned on. So you only had 2 DQs in rescue school, and okay, there's nothing like what you went through or anything else, but like you only had 2 DQs. And I remember the first week or the first day or the second day, I got my first DQ. And 2, you got rolled, you could come back into the next class.
Yeah.
But so what happened is when you're swimming with a snorkel, what they don't tell you with a snorkel, we had like a timed swim, and there you got divers underneath the water. And as you're swimming with the snorkel, you're pulling air and you're pulling oxygen. It's not breathing normally. So as you get gas, what they do is you have this harness on and everything else, they pull you underwater. And so the water goes into your snorkel. Everybody knows when I'm saying water. That's the Jersey in me.
Yeah.
Oh, we can hear it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Don't worry, our listeners will too. They'll be like, yeah.
So when the water goes into y'all in the snorkel. So, but yeah. So when the water goes in your snorkel, their first reaction is just to rip it out of your mouth and go because you're gassed, and that's a DQ. So I did that. So I had 1 DQ to start my 6 weeks off. And so on Wednesday, we were just stressed out, and the base bar at NAS Jacksonville stayed open till like 2 a.m. And so on Wednesday, I would say I have a resting smile face. So when people yell at me, I just like the corners of that's Hunter too.
Fucking does that too, man.
Yeah, and that's the probably what happened with at least one of my divorces, but yeah, but the resting smile face came out. And so
it'll piss people off, man.
It sure
especially
does.
The instructors. Yes. Like, what's so funny?
Yeah, and he would light into me. There was just one man. His whole goal was to make me quit. Like, and like he would come in and he would go down and he would walk past me, but I knew he was coming back. Do you know what I mean? Like and where he messed up on this was that he made it a point to make me want to quit. Right, so I knew. Unlike everybody else, you never knew. So again, you're standing up on like by the pool, and what they would do is they would take your mask and your snorkel, they throw it in the water. The moment they do that, you have to go dive in. The snorkel hits the bottom. You have to sit on the bottom, put the snorkel on, breathe. Like you push on the top, you breathe out. The diver gives you the thumb. You give them the thumbs back. You can go back up. Here's the deal: if you know that's going to happen, you can breathe yourself into like expanding your lungs a little bit. I knew every morning he was going to do it to me. He would try to mess me up a little bit by walking by me and then coming back. But I knew he was going to come back, where everybody else didn't know whether or not it was going to be their time. So anyway, so on Wednesday night, I was stressed, and Adam said, "Man, let's go get a picture of Budweiser." I said, "All right, let's do it." And the base bar closed at 2 a.m. because it was hump day. So, and that's how I made it through SAR school. I made it from Wednesday to Saturday. That's all I did. I just said, like, he would look at me and was like, "Man, every Wednesday and every Saturday we'd split a pitcher of beer." So I didn't make it 6 weeks. I didn't make it one day. I just made it to Wednesday night, a pitcher of Budweiser.
I tell everybody to do that.
Yeah.
Ours was Friday night. Went and got a nice hotel room and a hot shower.
Yeah.
It's like, make it to that sucker. Day by day, we went to chow, right?
Because if you look at it as 6 months, like in your case, you got 3 different phases of what, like you almost had 3 years worth of like
that's what it is, man.
Getting your ass kicked, you know. And so like you can't know if you started and say, well, I got 3 years left of this, you can't do that. I mean, mentally, and
the water thing's different too.
Yeah.
I remember because when the instructors would get in there was that line. You're like, I'm gonna get in the back because by the time I get up there, they'll be tired.
Yeah,
that ain't how it works. Them freaking lungs are good to go. They can stay down there forever.
Yes. Yeah.
There's those little tricks that you don't know anything about. Yeah. And no one will really tell you unless because no one ever wants to hook anybody up. But they're there for sure. That bring back some memories now, man.
Oh yeah.
That freaking mask retrieval. Yeah. You want to talk about dudes freaking out?
Dude, because again, like, and if depending on who the diver was, because they could see your number, right?
Yeah.
And again, there was one guy that just hated me, and if he was the diver that was in the water, he saw my number, he wouldn't give me the thumbs up, because all he needed was one more DQ, and I'm done, I'm cycled, and so I'd be like, all the water's out of my mask, I'm sitting on the bottom of 12-foot pool, I'm like, thumbs up, like let me go, and he would just sit there and like.
Dude, they do the fishing reel finger,
like,
on the I mean,
dude,
when you got somebody laughing at you through a snorkel underwater, it sounds completely different, and we got some sadistic dudes, man.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
It's freaking awesome.
Yep.
I mean, our guys, this is back in the 90s, man, 1900s. Guys be like, hey, man, you are not good looking enough to be here, so that's what I'm going to be on your ass. That's what they'd say.
And they will tell you, like, you're my project. Every night I go home, I'm going to think about ways to make your life living hell, and I'm going to make, and the moment that you quit, I'm going to move on to somebody else. All I did was just make it to Wednesday night. And that's the truth. Just getting to that Budweiser, man. And I know it sounds terrible, but it just, I didn't look at it.
No, that sounds right.
That paid me so many dividends. When as we start to talk about kind of like, when we get into the trauma of life as an undercover cop, I didn't make it.
Yeah, so you transitioned out of the Navy, and how'd you?
So here and again, man, life's not fair, right? And there's just a common theme in my life where life, but
which makes it fair.
Life's
not fair, which makes it fair.
Once you realize that it's not about the cards that you have in your hand, it's about how you play the game. That's when you realize that you're right, and so I was gonna do the Seaman Admiral program. So I had a commander.
That's an awesome program.
Yes. So TK Shannon, and I wish at some point I could find him again and just say thank you. So. He wound up pulling me aside, and he said, Griff, we were in the wardroom, and he said, man, you're a leader. I see everybody, they listen to you, they do, he's like, have you ever thought about being an officer? I said, no, sir, I have not. He said, well, we have this program called STA 21, Seaman Admiral 21. He said, I think you would be a phenomenal officer. I said, well, what does that entail? He said, well, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna work with you to get into Seaman Admiral and go out to college. So for anybody that doesn't realize or know what it is, Seaman Admiral means that the Navy would pay you for 3 straight years as an active duty. I was an E5 at this point. They would pay you your E5
Perfect place to be, by the way.
Yeah.
In the Mafia.
Oh, without a doubt.
The best.
Yeah, surface warfare, air warfare.
The freaking best, man.
And then to be a SAR swimmer because you got all the pilots trying to take care of you because they know if they go down, you're the only person that's pulling them out.
Yeah, hey, see this face?
So, yep.
Here's some extra. Yeah. That's a real thing, too.
Yep. And so he was like, look, go to school for 3 years, Navy pays your thing, and then you come out as an O2E. So not only do you have the credit of being enlisted, right, but you're also an officer.
Yeah, the big Mustangers, that's big.
Yeah. So I had to go take my SATs again. I had to go do all the stuff. And so he wrote me a glowing eval, and then he transferred out. He promoted out to Rear Admiral. And so the guy that came in, Commander Barubi, came in, and it's so crazy that I remember these names, right? So he gives me an exit interview.
So you know they're good dudes.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He was.
Barubi wasn't.
Yeah, Barubi.
No, I'm talking about the
TK.
Oh, he was it. I mean, he was a man. He was a leader of men. If that makes sense. Like he was just a leader of men. You wanted to do more for him. He was like that one more guy. When he would come into to CIC and he just commanded respect. The way he cared about you too. Like he would put his hand on your shoulder and he would just say like, how's home? How's your family? And a lot of times to an E5 that meant the world.
Yeah.
But so Barubi comes in and after TK becomes a Rear Admiral, he just writes me like kind of a lukewarm eval for the exit eval. And so I wound up getting waitlisted. And I remember there's the first time in my life that I put my heart and my soul and my mind into something and I didn't get it. And I remember how devastated I was. So I went back up to Chesapeake for a weekend to stay with my brother. And so I get back up there and I'm at 5.5 years now. And he's like, well, man, what are you going to do if you don't get this Seaman Admiral thing? You're going to re-enlist. I said, dude, I haven't even really thought about this. I haven't really thought about not getting it. But now that I'm weightless, I guess I should. And he said, dude, well, I'll tell you what, man, Virginia Beach is hiring cops. I feel like that would be right up your alley, man. You don't like to be inside. You can drive around. You can drive fast. You can kick doors. I'm like, like that sounds like it might be it. So I go down to take the PT test. There's like 2,000 dudes for like 30 spots. I remember calling my wife at the time because you sit in like this area waiting for your turn to take the PT test, and I'm like, I'm not getting this job.
You still activated now? Or are you on reserve status? You're out. You're
nothing.
out. Check.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I remember calling my wife at the time. I'm like, I'm not getting this. There's like 2,000 dudes out here for 30 spots. Do the PT test, and then you take the written test, and then you're down to like 1,000 guys, and then you got to come back in 2 weeks to do this other stuff. So I just kept making it to the next stage. And finally, like a Friday afternoon, I get a phone call, and the guy said, "Hey, I'm offering you a spot in the 36th Virginia Beach Police Academy." I'm like, man, thank you so much, bro. Like, that's awesome. Like,
I feel good.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
when you get those kind of calls, that freaking feels good, dude.
And you're thinking like,
if you're out there and you're listening, if you want, there's a feeling that goes along with when you bust your ass or something.
Yep.
And
you
it comes
really
over
put into it, and it takes you an amount of time to do it. And like,
it feels so good.
Man, that's it. And I said, well, I'm really waiting on this Seaman Admiral thing to come in. Because if I got the acceptance to STA 21, I was gone.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how long can you give me? He said, I'm gonna give you an hour. How about that? And I was like, starting now, or do I have like an hour after the phone call ends?
We're going on 3 or on 3 then.
Yeah. So I wound up taking the spot in the police academy, and man, it was awesome. Going to the academy and 6 months there. And again, you know all the tactics that they're trying to do because you've been through boot camp, you've been through rescue school, and like so you understand.
It's kind of going, you recycle back through just a different kind of environment.
Yeah, that's all right. It is. It's all the same mentality. So you got all these college kids, and they're like they're getting screamed at, and they're like folding like origami. They're just I can't believe I did something wrong. I was like, you're gonna do something wrong no matter what.
Right.
No matter what you do, it's gonna be wrong.
Be wrong. Yeah.
So just understand it. Just eat
That's
it.
right.
And
I think the worst thing to do when we're growing as kids for guys like us is they grade you by numbers and everything. Man, this is just a pass or fail.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like people like, how'd you do? I was like, I passed. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's the thing. Did you have a tackleberry in your class?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really?
Does.
Oh, everybody does?
Yeah,
damn, I knew it.
Yeah. And at some point you always call him that too.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Jason Smith, man. So I'm giving him a quick shout out. But yeah, he had an awesome tattoo right across his chest. I won't tell you what it says, but yeah, I was surprised he even got a job with the tattoo he had across his chest.
Tackleberry.
Yep. But
for all intents and purposes. No, yeah.
But yeah, so finished out the academy. I was the honor recruit coming out of the academy. I was a top shooter, the top PT guy, and the top test taker. And so I chose the 3rd precinct, which is like in Virginia Beach. It's a lot of Section 8 housing. I wanted to go someplace where I got activity. I wanted to learn how to be a cop. Yeah. And I got into my FTO phases, went through that, did that for 3 months, and I remember the feeling of being out on your own for the first time. And so you always like it's just you got a guy for 3 months. Just telling you, like, you should put your blinker on, put your you can't stop here. You should do this. It's called an eval, like a daily observation report.
And you had that, it's 3 months long?
3 months long. So you have 3 different people every single day. You got your daily observation report, like you get a 1 to 5 in like 25 different categories, like officer safety, report writing, blinkers, traffic, everything. So you're just always on edge for 10 straight hours.
So basically you got a cop watching you.
Everything. And all he's doing is watching
you.
And on the radio, you got to say things right. You got to do things right.
And then really watching you.
Yep.
Because they want to throw it at you hard, right?
Absolutely. Because they're not going to give you, and no matter what, you're not, just like in the Navy, you're not going to do well in the beginning because they've got to see a transition to you being good. And so,
well, that's a great way to say that.
Yeah.
That's an amazing way to say that.
Yeah,
that's how you know you're getting better.
Yeah.
Probably makes them a better police officer too because they're having to remember all that stuff because they're watching, right? And then they're having to say it out loud.
Right.
All right, check.
Right.
I never thought about it like that.
Yep.
Who has the longest one of those? You know?
No.
The FTO, you mean?
Yes, sir.
When I got on, we didn't have it.
Oh, check.
I became an FTO, and it's still the same. 3 months.
Yeah.
It's still the
typically,
same.
like, they have like a couple different models, but typically it's going to be 3 months. One month with 3 different officers on 3 different shifts: day shift, evening shift, and night shift. And then from there, you're usually just on kind of like another kind of like not suspended, but you're like not a light duty. What's the right word for? for the status that you are. You're not a full-time. You're a full-time cop. Like you're
But
taking
I
calls,
get- I
but you're on
Probationary.
probationary. Yeah, that's what. So you're on
Real-
probation at least for the first year.
So as FTO is you got to check that. That's when you get in, you have to get that qual though, right? That's
Yep.
like a way to
Exactly,
You
that's a
can't
qual.
make.
Yep.
All right, Roger that.
Yep. And yeah, so I finally, my first day on my own, man, it was, any of the cops out there, like it's that day, it's the day where you're fully qualled, you're ready to rock and roll. I remember just getting into the cruiser and I was like, whoa.
All right.
Like,
All of y'all do
like,
that, right?
yeah,
Tell
oh,
me
yeah,
that's not a
100%.
thing. Yeah, of course. How can it
mean-
not be? I mean, the first time you get a shield and a pistol, your life changes completely.
Yep.
I mean, and I had somebody point that out to me. It's like when the people get a lot of money overnight, that changes the way they feel about people. It's like, man, try getting a gun strapped to your hip and letting somebody tell you can kill somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a game changer.
That is a game changer.
I mean, when we got real young guys that get that power early, that's kind of, now that I'm sit where I sit, it's kind of like, hey, man, you really got to stay on them
Yep.
about that.
Yep. Because again, I mean,
Especially the young ones.
Yep. Exactly.
Too
exactly.
much power.
Yeah, it's like when, like a black belt in martial arts is a master of the basics.
Yep.
And then you're like, hey, I learned martial arts so I wouldn't have to fight. Not a black belt.
Yeah.
Them some bitches want to test run that thing like you can't believe.
Yeah. They need.
And we all know that.
Yeah. It's professional development. Yeah. I just got to get better every day.
I mean, we
Yeah,
know that,
yeah.
right? You have to grow. That's the trick, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I mean, we all been there. You got to grow out of it. That's the hardest part, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's funny, man.
I remember I was up on Route 1, wherever I was, man. I just hit and I was like, you know what? I'm going 100. I'm going to take off my seatbelt, and there's nobody that can tell me I can't. And it's just those are the things you do. I'm like, I'm not putting my blinker on. I'm gonna go to the bathroom anytime I want. I don't have to ask you to go to the bathroom.
When's the first time you burned through traffic with your rollers on just because you didn't feel like sitting in traffic?
Oh man, inside of an hour.
Yeah.
Inside of an hour, I was like, well, I'm not waiting here. I want my coffee now.
Exactly.
Just boop, gone. Yep.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
I mean,
y'all earned that right to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get out of your way. I don't care what it
Yeah.
is. I think if you go through all that, man, some people, but I do. I think you
Yeah.
should earn that privilege.
So about 1 o'clock on my first day on my own, I got the first call, and I remember it came across, and in Virginia Beach, you would get tones if it was a hot call. So they had like code 1, code 2, and code 3. If it's code 3, it's a non-priority, non-violent. You don't have to drive lights and sirens. If it's a code 2, you go lights and sirens. And so if it's a code 2 or a code 1 call, you very rarely have a code 1 call. Code 1 call is like shots fired, officer down, right? And that kind of has its own code. So a lot of it, they call them code 2 calls. So when a code 2 call comes out, Virginia Beach will give you the tone. So everybody would listen up. So essentially what would happen is you would hear doo 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 doo, right? So everybody kind of perks up. Units such and such, units
It's kind of like at the
325.
firehouse then, right?
Exactly.
Okay, check.
Exactly. So the first code call came out that afternoon, my first code call came out that afternoon. It was doo-doo-doo-doo. Units 330, 329, respond to Shore Drive. We have a 21-year-old unconscious, not breathing, code gray. And I was like, dang. So I was pretty close. I was on Shore Drive, and I got down there, and I'll never forget. I ran into the house. I was like this duplex, and I get up into the apartment was on the top left. And I go in there, and like the apartment manager, whoever that person was pointing out to the back bedroom. And I got in there, and the young man had stripped himself down naked and shot himself in the head. So he's laying on the ground. This is kind of like the first real.
You get the job done, or we're still alive?
No, he got the job done.
Oh,
Yeah,
check.
yeah. So coagulated blood, everything else, but he was naked. And at this time in Virginia Beach history, you had to make sure that there's nothing suspicious, like no other gunshots, no other like
check.
scrape marks,
With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you can also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That is over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth out there. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from your very first match. You must keep funds in an IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. This is over 8 times the national average. Savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
And so I started to move the body around. I put my gloves on, I started to move the body around, and I saw the corner of a note. And so I slide the note out. And as I looked at the note, you could kind of see like it was starting to say like to whom, or like to whom it may concern, or whatever. But everything else was washed away. Because when he shot himself, he fell on the note, and the blood washed away everything that this young man wanted to say. And I remember how that just hit me. Like it was kind of like a Tyson left hook. It just, like, man, what did this young man want to say? And why is he naked? What did he want to say to the world before he took his own life? And so I got home that night with my wife at the time, and she's like, how was your first day on your own? I said, baby, it was good. I said, we just had this one call. It just kind of bothered me, though. I said, this young man took his life, and, the coagulated blood, and I started kind of like going through it. I said, but he had written a note, and he wanted to say something, but he didn't get a chance to say it because the blood had wiped away what he wanted to say. And I said, I just have so many questions in my head. Like, I just want to know what the deal was. And so the next day I got into work, and I found one of the older guys, one of my FTOs, and I pulled him aside, and I said, hey, man, I said, can we chop it up for a second? He said, yeah. I said, I called yesterday. He said, what, the suicide one? I said, yeah. I said, it's kind of bothering me. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, this young man took his own life at 21 years old. He stripped himself down naked, but he just wanted to say something to the whole world, and he didn't get a chance to say it. And I remember he looked at me, and he said, Griff, if you're not strong enough to see it, then this isn't the job for you. And he got in a cruiser, and he drove away. I said, roger that. I said, copy, got it. Because again, as an impressionable young cop, I wanted to be like him.
Oh, sure. Don't be a pussy. That's what that meant.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
Rub some dirt in it.
Amen.
Let's go. Suck it up and get on to the next call, man. And I always say, man, that was the biggest lie that I've ever been told. And let's fast forward now almost 2 years. And so again, I'm like, this is who I wanted to be like. So every time that I had these dead body calls, every time I had the trauma, every time I had those things, I just kind of pushed it down. I didn't talk about it, didn't deal with it. But now I'm, and so, but I didn't really have anything too crazy until fast forward about 2 years and going into the end of 2004 and 2005, and pulled into an area called Campus East in Lake Edwards. And as I'm going in, and again, as a younger cop, I was a young undercover cop, and I was writing down license plates at a house. Because again, if you could write down enough license plates and it came back to like drug dealers, you could apply for a search warrant. There's all these different things. So as a younger badge, I had to go out and sit at this house. And as I'm driving in, I see my buddy Ben from the Navy. And I hadn't seen him in like 2.5 plus years, 3 years. And he was obviously got stationed at Norfolk, and now he's here. So I pull over. I'm like, yo, man. I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, Griff. He's like, what, are you a cop now? I said, yeah. He's like, that's crazy. I said, I know. He said, I want you to meet my son, Benny Jr. And he said, man, come on inside, man. I want you to meet my wife. I got a 6-month-old. And again, this is Christmas Eve of 2004. And I come inside, I meet his wife, I meet the 6-month-old. And he said, what are you doing for Christmas tomorrow? I said, man, I'm a young badge. I don't have, I got to work. I got to do this. And he said, why don't you come over and get you a plate, man? I got all my family coming over. I said, I go out to sea in a couple of days, but I got everybody coming up. Come get you a plate. I said, man, I'm going to do that. And I did. I came over, got a plate, and I remember coming into the kitchen, and there was little Benny Jr. at 2.5 years old, and he was cutting up Christmas cookies on this little stool. And I remember, looking at it, he looked at me, and you know how like little kids, when they see a gun on somebody's hip, it's like a cannon, and like his eyes like kind of looked, and he looked up, saw the badge next to him. He's like, are you a police officer? I said, yeah. He said, that's so cool. And I'll never forget that, man. I always like bring that with me. And so I went about my day, and
it is cool.
Yeah, and I just remember his voice and the way he said it. I'm gonna carry that with me. And New Year's Eve of 2004, going into 2005, I'm at the very same house around the corner from Benny and them. And I remember, as a young badge, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna write down these license plates for a couple of hours, man. I'm gonna get some more intel and everything else, but then I'm gonna go chop it up tonight. I'm gonna go have fun with the boys. I'm still a young guy. I think I'm 25, 26, 27, something like that. And so I'm more excited about that. And so I remember the call came out, man. I'll never forget it. It was right around like 4:30, and the tones came out. Doo 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 doo. Units 325, units 326, responded to 767 Hampshire Lane, 2.5-year-old code gray. And I remember sitting there in my, and it wasn't my call. I wasn't on a zone unit at that time. I was just writing down the license plates, but I was right around the corner from that address. And I remember saying to myself, man, that's a really shitty call for New Year's Eve. And, code gray, unconscious, not breathing, 2.5-year-old. 10 seconds goes by, 15 seconds goes by, 30 seconds goes by. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, damn, that's Benny Jr. So I dropped the car and I drive, and I'm the first one. I'm still the first one after 30 seconds to the first one I see. And I drove right up on the front lawn. I go running inside, and Brittany, his wife, is pointing into the bedroom. And I go in there. Brittany had taken a 6-month-old and went in to take a shower, and she put on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for Benny Jr., the 2.5-year-old. And Benny Jr., just being the little monkey that he is, climbed up on the windowsill, and he grabbed the blind cord. And it caught him right around the neck.
I'm in the loop.
Yeah, on the loop. And so I brought him down, and I started doing CPR. And I remember, I grew up very strict Catholic, Sundays, and I remember just praying. I remember just, doing CPR and just praying like, Lord, don't do this. God, don't do this to me. Don't take this baby from me. And I remember, I just kept doing CPR, and I remember trying to count the 15s and the 2s or whatever it was. And all of a sudden I get this breath, and I remember the relief that I felt. I'm like, I appreciate that, God. Like, thank you. And,
I owe you one.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to church.
Yeah, I'll be in Mass on Sunday.
Yeah. And then I realized that was the last breath that he ever took, right into my mouth. And man, it just hit me hard. And I remember, so Brittany's behind me, she's screaming, and she's screaming, save my firecracker. And then EMS comes in, they push me off. And I remember kind of just rolling off because you're tired, because I was just doing CPR for so long trying to save this young boy's life. And I looked up, and I saw the scratch marks on the wall of where he was trying to get down, and it just hit me. And I ate that, man. I ate that for a long time, and it took me a long time to tell people why I ate that. Because again, right, if you're not strong enough to see it, then this isn't the job for you, so I don't really want to talk about it. I don't really want to push it down, but I wouldn't tell anybody I didn't respond for 30 seconds. And there's honestly, Marcus, there's nobody on this side of the earth that can tell me that if I didn't respond in 30 seconds when the call came out, I couldn't save this young boy's life. And I ate that for the longest time. How am I going to say to my friend, hey, I didn't respond to your house when the call came out because I was writing down fucking license plates? And, I ate that for the longest time, and I couldn't sleep. I started having nightmares, and the anger built up inside me, and
yeah, kids cross through a barrier on you.
Man, and it got me, but I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't tell anybody what I was dealing with because I didn't want them to be like, well, it's your fault. And I felt like it was my fault, but I didn't want to tell anybody it was my fault. And every time I go into work, I'm thinking about it. And, and so, as cops, and, I ran. I said to my wife, I said, I don't want to be here in Virginia Beach anymore. I said, let's go find someplace else. My brother was right around the corner, and I said, I just need a fresh start. And so that's how we came up to New Hampshire. And I'd never been to New Hampshire before until I applied to be a cop there. And I should, the state motto is live free or die. I should have realized that. Like, nothing's illegal in New Hampshire. Like, everybody's got guns
up there.
Yeah, everybody's got guns. Everybody's got a ladder rack. And so I became a cop in New Hampshire, and I just said, you know what, I'm done. It's just got a lot of this, this trauma stuck inside. And so I went out to be the SRO at the high school, right? And I'm still a young cop. Like, to be the SRO at the high school, like, no offense to any of the SROs out there, but a lot of times at an agency, that's kind of like where you get put out to pasture.
Yeah, to check.
It's Monday through Friday. It's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
It's fair to say that. That's a thing.
You're just chilling with the kids and whatever, but that's and then all of a sudden this opioid epidemic hits.
Wow. It hit hard up there too, right? Yeah.
I mean, Ohio and New Hampshire was really kind of the two hardest hit states. I mean, we had people, overdosing and dying left and right.
Yeah.
And so
that was real crazy up there.
Yeah, they came to me and they said, "What do you think about, going back undercover?" I said, "I'll go do it." But I knew that was going to be a difficult one, right? Because again, once you go undercover, you lose about 20% of your pay because you can't do overtime, you can't do the detail work, things like that. But again, like, I saw these kids passing away and getting locked up on opioids and the heroin coming out, and then they get a hot batch with fentanyl in it, and they're dead. And so I went back undercover, and I did that for a couple of years, and again was really, really successful. But here's the thing, man, I started, like, the ends kind of justified the means. Like I started seeing so many people overdose, and I always tell the story, but I was sitting, we had served a search warrant early on in the week, and it was a good search warrant. Man, we got some guns, we got like 70 grand in cash, like we got a bunch of fentanyl, and but it was, you know, people don't understand, like from undercover life, like it's fun for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's about a week of paperwork, right? And so I'm doing all the paperwork, and it's Friday afternoon. I'm sitting in this local bar, and I'm having a burger and a beer, and this dude walks in, and he's going another direction, but then he sees me, and he starts to come towards me. And I'd never seen this dude in my life, and so I'm thinking, like, all right. So I kind of slide my chair back, like, all right, are we gonna go? Is he a threat? Is he coming over to say hi to me? Do I know him from some way? And he gets over to me. He goes, "Hey, man, you're that undercover cop, right?" I'm like, "Not really undercover." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Friday afternoon, and you're sitting in a bar. Why don't you doing your damn job?" He said, "If you were doing your job, my son wanted to pass away last night from an overdose." I'm like, "Dang." I said, "You're right. I'm not going to stand up and fight somebody that just lost their son. I'm not going to pop off to him and be like, mind your business. Like, this is my working hours." And so I got my check, and it just something in me, inside me, just the light switched. Like, why do we have all these policies? Like this banger over here that's selling dope, he's not working. He doesn't have working hours. He doesn't have dope dealing hours. When he gets dope, he's selling dope. He's making money. Why am I constrained by all of these different policies and procedures and everything else? And that was just kind of where the light switch kind of flipped. And, you know, and again, I remember one time I was getting served up with fentanyl, and
That shit needs to be an enemy of the state.
man, like you should have a minimum mandatory sentence if you
If you come across the border, they'll make you eat half of it.
100%,
Whatever you're pulling.
without a doubt. Like you want to put that in the locker downstairs.
I mean,
like,
we got
you
some
wanna
stuff
keep
that
it down
people
there.
play fun with and everything
Yeah.
like it's a good time. That's just not it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy how all that shit came about because of the opioid epidemic, and because like the heroin and because it's all man-made and how it all popped off. It's just crazy from a business standpoint too, how the cartels were able to,
They're the best business organization on the planet.
without a doubt. And again, like, I mean, fentanyl's been around. Fentanyl's a legal drug. It
Yeah,
has
check.
legal, valid uses. But all of a sudden they realize they're like, this is stronger than heroin.
Yeah.
I don't need to plant a poppy seed anymore. I can just make it in a lab.
God dang, once those chemists got on board and started being bad
Yeah.
and everything, when things got weird.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like it's 100 times more potent, if you will. So you can step on it as many times as you want.
It doesn't matter, right? It just,
No, I mean, like average kilo of heroin, you step on about like 7-8 times, right? So you can make probably another 7-8, kilos of heroin, right? Average kilo is going to run about 30 stacks. With fentanyl, you can step on fentanyl like 30 times. So again, let's say like a kilo of heroin, quick numbers, kilo of heroin, say it's 30 grand. You can make 230 grand out of one pure heroin,
Yeah.
because you're going to step on it, right? By stepping on it, you can make 2 out of 1, and you cut it up with baking soda, creatine, whatever. Now let's take fentanyl. It's man-made, so it doesn't take you 4 months to create it. And you can step on it 30 times. You're talking a 1.2 on the same thing, and you don't have to wait 4 months from a poppy plant to be, to
grow.
To grow.
Do we
you
know
say
what bad guy did that? Huh? I don't know. Do you? Do we have any idea what bad guy came up with that?
I think it was Chapo.
Was it Chapo? That's what I was gonna say.
Because so when Chapo went into prison, so in kind of like the background behind it, marijuana started becoming legal. So they lost about like 30-40% of their.
How about that?
Yeah. And so everybody's like, oh, this is going to make so much sense for us as, and I'm not going to jump into politics, whatever, but like we made marijuana legal, which again, I get and I don't get. It is what it is. But what that did was the cartels were like, well, I'm not losing 30% of my profits.
We'll find something else.
I'm going to find something else.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did. And anybody thinks that like the cartels didn't have a part in the opioid epidemic and the ability for heroin to be a lot more potent and strong to be out there. Because again, at the end of the day, think about it, right? Like if you, I'll get off my soapbox here in a second, but I mean, America makes up like 80-something% of the world's opioid prescriptions.
That's supply and demand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the cartel realizes that. It's like, well, opioids is just heroin in a pill form.
Yeah.
And think about like, so you get hopped up on opioids. Like, you're getting 3 months, 3 months pill subscriptions for the multiple refills, like 3-month refills.
That's enough to get you in the hole.
Yeah, and I would tell the story like when I talk about like the fentanyl thing. I get hit by a car.
That's the exact amount of time it takes you to get addicted to that crap.
Yeah, you're damn right. And I got hit by a car. I was doing a bike patrol duty on, and I got hit by a car, and and they hit me with fentanyl in my IV. And I mean, I felt like I could run a marathon. And
hey,
I was ready to go. Let's go.
there's a reason why that stuff's in the hospitals, man. Like, if you're in real pain, you go in there. It gets rid of it.
Hey, look,
you can't deny that.
And I was telling, you're a medic too, so you get this, but I was telling like my firefighter guys, I'm like, why you got to cut off my shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I told you.
Oh, bro.
You know?
You know you're stoned when you say that. Like, man, I really loved those pants,
Like
man.
my
Why the hell did you have
leggings were like $120,
Yeah.
man. You ain't had to
I've
cut
done
them
that
off.
too.
I never said my legs were hurting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And
This is not funny, but it is, right? I
Yeah.
guess.
And so again, I was running this opioid thing, man. I just seen these kids that were in high school with me, kids that had these futures, kids that were good athletes, kids that had like good families, go out and get into a car accident, and all of a sudden they're getting addicted to opioids, and before you know it, they're dead.
Yeah.
And it just messed me up. But I knew that nobody else had the ability to do what I was doing. And that was Morristown Beer coming back, learning the different packaging methods and how we were able to do those things. And so, the thing is, man, I just, I forgot how to be a husband and a father. I mean, real talk. I was just ride or dying every day. And I can't count the number of times that I'd be out, on my way home, we would have a babysitter set up for date night or whatever. And somebody called me like, hey, we need you for a hitman for hire. Roger that. I'm on my way. And I call home, send the babysitter home, honey, I go to work. Or say I did get the date night, putting out my 4 phones. Am I paying attention to my wife? And the answer is no. And
I don't know how you guys do that.
Yeah.
Like, I never had to do that.
yeah,
I got some advice from one of my early about that. Because I'm married, she's ride or die.
yeah,
But if you're in our life, and if you got a servant heart, because we got people in the communities that don't have a servant heart.
that's it.
If you do, and then you get in there, that's your life. And then everything else is kind of, especially if it comes in second, it'll always be stacked secondly. And that, our guys and girls, man, they
I love that.
freaking
Man.
burned out. I mean,
Yeah,
and that's a horrible pain.
man, that was
And I've never had to experience it, but I've seen people, like hard dudes,
Yeah,
get broke down because of that kind of stuff,
yeah,
man.
it was a tough lesson to learn. And I take, I have a chapter in my book where I talk about it, but I take full responsibility for my divorce. I forgot how to be a husband. I forgot how to be a dad, and it hit me hard. And when we divorced, the process of going through that, the one person that always checked on me was my former partner, but that he had promoted out and became the police chief. And he would always status check me, and he would just say, "Hey man, you good?" And I always knew if I said I'm fine, he was gonna find me by the end of the day.
There's
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
There's certain replies, man.
Yeah.
You hit it with that, it's like,
Yep.
oh, there's more.
Yep, and and I think I've already dropped the curse word or two, so I apologize. But the PC way of what FINE stands for is feelings in need of expression. Some other people have some other words for it too, but he would always check on me, man. Like, he was always I knew that if I needed to talk to somebody, he would. And again, so my divorce was finalized January 5th of 2017, and I started to get better at that point. But I was living in this little one bedroom spot, and the whole bunch of turmoil between like not having money and this, that, and the other, and the crisis of untangling two lives, if you will. And so I started to get a little bit better, because what we do, we just put our head down and go to work, right? And that's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to be home. I just wanted to be at work. I knew if I could focus on something, I could do something well in each day, that I was going to be okay.
It won't break up with you.
Yeah.
The job won't break up with you.
It sure won't. It'll
It'll break you.
It'll keep taking
But it
from you.
damn sure won't break up with you.
Yep. As much as you can give, your job's going to take.
And if you love it, there's no way out of that circle.
Yeah. It's vicious.
We never talk about it like this, but if we're being completely honest, that's what happens.
Yep.
Like, there's no way out of there.
Yep.
You have to be removed.
And I think what happens, and I may be wrong, this is only my own, and let's chop this up for a second if you want, but I think what happens is when you find some of that crisis that happens in your personal life, and you really dive into your job, it takes a whole nother realm of your identity away, because that when everything here starts to, and what I mean by that is, like, I always felt like when I came home was kind of like my solace. It was like my temple. I could come home and I just didn't have to talk about what I went through or what I saw. But when I didn't have that aspect, I molded that aspect into my job.
Yeah.
And where it was a job that I was passionate about and I loved, but now it became also my solace, and where I got acceptance from. And so it really changed my identity. I became Matt Griffin, the Undercover Cop, not Matt Griffin anything else.
Well, because you eliminate everything else.
Yep.
And I got guys that come out of the teams, man, and that's all they talk about. Mm-hmm. Because that's all they are.
Yeah.
And we can't talk about that. So you're not watching sports, so you can't talk about that.
Yeah.
You're not going out in the community, going and doing all that stuff, which is making stories is what we reflect on.
Yeah.
Somebody said this to me the other day, is like your past is reality.
Yeah.
Your future is imagination, and your present is your creation.
Yeah. I like
And
that.
it's good, right?
Yeah, that's real good.
That's what I thought too, man. I was like, man, damn, that's a lot. That's pretty deep, man. But it was real good because with us, man, that's why it's hard for guys to transition out.
Mm-hmm.
You run across somebody who's been in the job for 30 years, and then they got a wife,
Yeah.
that's been with them the whole time. They need a special badge.
Yeah, they do. Especially
Well,
in heaven.
I mean, yeah, there's absolutely special place in heaven for them, man. Just to hold it together like that, that's a power couple.
Yeah.
I mean, we applaud them. Stay away from them too, because for whatever reason,
She'll kick your ass.
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Yeah. Yeah. And,
it's freaking something.
Yeah. And so again, I started to get better. And I started to kind of like, branch out a little bit. But March 9th would have been my 15-year wedding anniversary. And I woke up that morning, and everybody knows that feeling. You just wake up, today's going to be a bad day. It's just going to be a bad day. It's like you roll out of bed, you're like, this would have been my 15-year wedding anniversary. I'm going to be thinking about that today. But I had a prostitution sting going on that day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this away. I'm going to compartmentalize this. I'm going to put this down. And I'm going to focus on what I can do really well. And I got into work, and we started to brief up. And we started looking at the operation, what we're going to do, and all the different logistics inside of it. We're going to have air sport. We're going to have all this and the other. And somebody knocks on the door and says, hey, Chief wants to see you. I'm like, damn, man. I'm like, what the hell does Brian want? And I went down to the office. I knocked on the door. And I was like, hey, man, what's up? He said, Griff, I want you to have a seat. And again, this is my friend, but it's also police chief. So I'm trying to, in my head, I'm like, all right, well, is this Matt and Brian time, or is this like detective and chief time? Like, do I need my union?
You need a reverse name tag thing, so I know, right?
Yeah, it's like, what kind of conversation are we having here? Because I'm not going to put myself under the bus if I did something wrong. And in my head, I'm like self-revival. What did I do last night? What did I do this weekend? Is something going to come, And he said, he looked me right in the eyes, man. He said, you know what today is, right? Referring to what would have been my 15-year wedding anniversary. And I said, yeah. He said, are you straight? I said, I'm good. He said, you got a lot of people out here that are dependent on you. He said, if you're not mentally prepared, you're not physically ready. So tell me now. And if you're not good, I'll comp you out for the day and I'll have somebody else lead this operation. He said, so tell me. I said, Brian, I'm good. I'm straight, man. And I remember sitting there for a second, and I didn't know if there was something else. And I got up and I left. And you know what I didn't say? How you doing, bro? I didn't check on him. He checked on me on what would have been my worst day, and I didn't check on him. 2 hours later, he went home and shot and killed himself. And I eat that every day, man. I eat that every day. I had a chance. I think in my own way, I think he checked on me to see if I was going to check on him.
Oh, yeah. Or if you came clean, like, man, I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
Then that kind of...
Or like,
it was like, oh, well, hey, I kind of got this going on. Trying to open the door. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Man, bro. So is that our lesson? Hey, if someone's asking you, freaking just hit them with it.
And I ate that, man. I ate that every day, right? And why didn't I just say, hey, operation gets over 5, 6 o'clock. Let's go chop it up. Let's go have a cold one today.
You know how carrying credit card debt can really start to feel like you're in quicksand? You're making payments, trying to move forward, maybe even planning your next big trip, but that credit card balance just keeps dragging you back. Well, that's why what Navy Federal Credit Union is offering right now really stands out to me. They've got a 0% intro APR on balance transfers for 12 months. That's a full year with zero interest, finally giving you room to breathe and actually make progress on your finances. And if you open up a new Cash Rewards or Cash Rewards Plus credit card, you can get a $250 bonus just by spending $2,500 in your first 90 days. That's 3 months. That's an easy win. The thing is, Navy Federal isn't just another bank. They're actually here to help their members build a better financial future. It is just a smart way to take back control. Check them out at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. Navy Federal Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
And I eat that every day. And here's the thing, man. I know, you talked about this a little bit on another podcast, but especially like when you were in Buzz, when they would see somebody that you thought was harder than you and tougher than you, when they would quit, the other people would look at you and say, they just quit and they're tougher than you. You need to go quit. And that's kind of how I felt with Brian. Like Brian was the toughest man I've ever been around. In the depression, the trauma. Now I got two people on this earth that I felt like are not on this earth because of me. I got the baby. I got Brian, and there's a bunch of other things inside there too that just kind of. It's like balloons, right? When you're trying to hold all these balloons underneath water, one's gonna pop up eventually, right? And then when you're trying to grab that one, all the other balloons start coming up. So, but all of a sudden, man, Marcus, honestly, it was an eye-opening experience. I had a trauma-filled mind, and a trauma-filled mind isn't a clear mind. And I started realizing through my depression, through the PTSD inside of me, I said, it's not suicide, man, because Brian's not weak. I used to look at suicide as being weak. So man, he's the opposite of the weakest person. I mean, that's the strongest dude in the world. He didn't say shit. We would go out to a bar, right? And I'm somewhat external, so I'm a mouthpiece here and there, or whatever. Not him, man. He would order a JMO shot, and he would order a Guinness, and he would sit down. I'm like, man, drink your JMO shot. It's marinate. Drink when I want to, and we'd all be talking shit.
Oh yeah, style.
Yeah,
check.
Yeah, and we'd all be talking shit, and when he got mad, he would run through the whole bar. I mean, he was about 5'8", like 230 of muscle. Just a bowling ball. Went to Norwich University.
Yeah, juggernaut.
Yeah, he was a juggernaut, man. I'm telling you, you do not want to mess with him. And all of a sudden I realized, man, it's not suicide. He was sacrificing himself. And all of a sudden that switch hit me. And my whole life's been a sacrifice too. Went into the Navy, that was a sacrifice. I went to Morristown Beer. Let's go all the way back to 13 years old. I didn't want to go to Morristown Beer. That was a sacrifice. I did that because my parents wanted me to do that. They wanted me to be successful. And then I went to the Navy. That was a sacrifice for my country and everything else. And now here I am in Virginia Beach. That's a sacrifice. Now I'm up in New Hampshire. That's a sacrifice. All I'm doing is serving. So this is the next step. And again, over the last year, all I've done is failed. I failed in my marriage. I failed with my, with Brian. I failed with my children. I mean, I was in this one bedroom shitty little apartment, man. In my book, man, I have a picture of my checking account. I had $1.13 in my checking account. I had 79 cents. And I remember my kids coming over one day and like, Dad, we're hungry. And I had no money. And I remember I had to feed them ramen noodles. And you know what's great about it, man, is
ramen or this
ramen.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they're fucking great, man.
Great.
I eat them all day.
Hey,
but now my
day.
kids love some ramen noodles. I'm like, yo guys, like we can actually go get some food.
Hey, the military, we learned how to cook up some ramen, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a certain way to go about it, man. And you want to learn how to make ramen the right way. Ask a military guy, right? Because some people put it in the microwave. Hell, yeah, like come on. Like,
Army guys are great at that. They can make a gourmet meal out of that.
You are messing up a perfectly good ramen noodle pack. But
that's a true story.
But yeah, man, I remember, my boys were like, and I just remember how all of that and how I felt with that and not being able to provide for my children and how much I failed them. And I just felt like I was failing my kids every single day. And all of a sudden, like this light bulb went off and it's like, man, the next step in my transition from the Navy to the police department to Keene, the next step is take myself out of the game. And that was March 9th that I lost Brian. And on March 17th, I remember that day so well, man. I decided that I was done. And I decided that on March 17th at midnight, I was going to take my own life. And I remember that day, man. I remember walking around and hearing the birds and looking up at the sun and like the clouds and just knowing that I wasn't going to see them again. And also,
so that's a focused thought. When you get that in your head,
yeah.
It is?
It absolutely.
Just like with anything else we have, once it gets in there.
It was a clarity that I had about that day and the struggle that I had gone through. And like, I didn't have to worry about all the problems that were stacking up, right? I had so many compounded problems from bills to my boy's mother, to custody, to lawyer fees. I had so many compounded problems. I didn't know which way it was up. But when I finally made the decision that I was done and that I was going to take my life, I didn't have to worry about them anymore. So I could have the clarity of just being in the moment for a second.
Yeah.
And I just remember just like breathing and looking and listening to the birds. And I was walking on Washington Street in downtown Keene and I just knew, I was like, this is the most peaceful I've felt in a minute. And I know it's not, but that was a trauma-filled brain. That was the depression talking. Yeah. That was a PTSD talking. And it was convincing me that this was the right way. And I wrote my suicide note. I got that right here in my head.
Is it in here?
It is. Yep. And Yeah. No,
What does that feel like?
Man, so, here was the process of it, to be honest with you. I wanted to make sure. I had seen so many suicide recoveries in my life as a cop. I've been to so many, starting with the very first call that I had, that I wanted to make sure my children weren't going to be around. I wanted to make sure that, certain cops that I didn't, I wanted to know who was going to find my body. And so there was a lot of different things that I was trying to accomplish with it. And so there was a lot from a logistical standpoint that I was at least trying to think about. And then the most emotional part of that was trying to say to my boys what I wanted to say to them. And again, there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of, paragraph 2 and 3 was pretty, there's a decent amount of anger inside that, but paragraph 1, I'll just say it. Paragraph 1 was, to my sons, I know you won't understand, but please know that I love you more than anything. You are my light in bad times and my sunshine every morning.
And that doesn't kick that out of there.
I know.
I'm asking because if we get anybody who's going down this route and they're seeing that, we're the off ramps.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's here's the off ramp, right? The off ramp is it's okay to not be okay. These are normal emotions that I was going through, losing my partner, going through a divorce, failing in certain things. These are normal emotions that you're allowed to have. And the problem is that a lot of times when you do the things that we've done in our life, you don't have catastrophic failure. For the real talk, we really don't fail in too many aspects of our life.
Yeah, no. Well, that's a life or death. So if you're alive, you're passing.
That's it. And that's really all we got to do, right?
Yeah,
in the police world, you're going to get your pension. As long as you don't make some really stupid decisions, you're going to get your pension.
Yeah.
You may not get promoted, but you're going to keep your job and you're going to go through. And so catastrophic, failure. And again, the off ramp comes to know that these are normal emotions, and it's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to go through those emotions. But it's just not okay to stay that way, because you keep staying that way, your trauma-filled brain is going to come and it's going to tell you things that are not true. It's going to lie to you.
Yeah, it's like being stuck in a horror movie the whole time.
Yep. And then the other off ramp is alcohol, right? Alcohol,
which is part of our culture.
Right?
We may not come from a culture, but you can damn sure join one, and nobody does it like the uniform.
Yeah. And all alcohol does is weaken your ability to fight the depression. That's all it does, right? Because if you're going to come at depression, you're going to come at PTSD, you better come at it with an emotion that's just as strong, if not stronger.
And otherwise, that's the damn devil.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to lose.
It's literally the devil.
Yeah, that's the damn devil, man.
Convinced that alcohol feeds a demon that is created through different traumas or whatever, and it only comes out through that alcohol.
Yeah. Well, we kind of cultivate them dudes inside of us.
Yeah.
And everybody can recognize who's like, hey man, when that dude armors up, you ought to see what comes out. Like you can't even freaking believe it. And we actually want to see it because it's so dominant in our.
Yeah.
This may sound weird to everybody who doesn't walk under the badge or under the uniform or anything like that, but this is what happens to us.
Yeah.
And then you grow that sucker.
Yep.
You can train them. And it's a raging freaking fire inferno, and that anger.
That liquid courage.
That aggression. And you put that gasoline in there, man. Stand by.
Yep. And all that gasoline that's the starting engine.
Yeah.
Right? The shot's off and let's go. And
when you get out, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like you separate them. What we're talking about right now is our resumes.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the uniform and military, when you say divorce, like, oh, I bet, do you drink? I'm like, oh, well, that's your check in the box right there. It's like, we all do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because you don't want you to be alone or if it's just the way we are, but it's a thing.
There's just so much culture built around it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you take the culture built around it and you combine that with the trauma that we go through, and we use it as a coping mechanism in order to just not have to deal with that. Once you can numb that up a little bit and not have to feel some of the trauma that you went through, it just takes away.
It's crazy because of how much fun we have.
Oh, absolutely. And it's
I hate to say it like that, but I was like, you can't believe the amount of fun that we have.
Absolutely.
And I had a buddy of mine the other day was visiting, and he was like, he's talking about his kids. He's like, I'd never tell my kids to do this, military or the badge or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we kind of, because of the way things are, the way we turned out.
Yeah.
He's like, look at us.
Yeah.
Just freaking look at us, man.
Yeah.
Like we can put clothes on, hide that, and hide behind all this stuff like that, and our conversation. But and we sat there for a second, and I go, you know why it's worth it? You. I'd have never got you, and your friendship is more valuable to me, and was so worth everything I had to go through, and what I'm standing in now is worth it.
Yeah.
Just so I can see you.
Yeah.
So don't do nothing stupid. The minute that's what I had to say. I was like, hey man, you.
Yeah.
The bonds we got with the brotherhood are you
it.
can't
You'll never
you
shake
can't
that.
get that without drinking and fighting and going through hell.
Yep.
Ain't that weird?
It is.
There's no other way to get it.
Man, that's a solid point.
I never thought about it until we started talking like this, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it breeds.
Yep.
If you can survive it.
Yep. Yep. And I think everything with moderation too, right? Like if you're as you're
Balance, yeah, of course.
As you get
Which
a
we
little
don't do
older-
well.
Yeah, as a younger badge, as a younger sailor, man, like moderation, you don't need that because you recover so quick. But as you get older, you
There's
realize how
that.
quickly you can't do those same things, and they affect you a little bit more. And once you have that realization, it's got to be that realization is going to be like, yeah, this is good for here and there, and every once in a while, but it can't control my life. You gotta make a decision that I'm not willing to trade. I think one of the things that happens with a lot of trauma, when you see a lot of death in your life, I think once you realize that this life is so short that you don't want to waste 24 hours being hungover. You don't want to waste 72 hours being hungover because you're not switched on. You're not the light switch isn't like this.
Something changes.
I'm wasting a conversation, man. Like, what if I showed up here hungover and I wasted an opportunity to be here with you on this podcast? Like, what kind of life would that be?
Yeah, something changes. I don't know what. Maybe it's a different day and number for everybody.
Yeah.
How long you been in and at it? Maybe it's a separation. You separate us just long enough.
Yeah.
Isolate it, and then it hits us, and we actually carry it back in there, but you won't say anything. It's kind of like picking up a symbiote or something. So yeah, man, I think I had an overnight change.
Yeah.
But
There's some people that can't do things in moderation, so you just have to quit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
True.
but then we're taught not to quit.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, think
Yeah.
it's
Quit the bad habits.
Yeah.
it's and we're young. Old men in our community are 40 years old.
I know.
Hell, you run across a 37-year-old, you're about to die. And that's the strangest thing to me now, looking back at that. But
Bet I say this all the time. Like, all my guys, from the military and the police department, they're like, oh man, I got 3 years, 6 months, and 18 hours and 22 minutes. It's like, to do what? To go die?
yeah,
Because our life expectancy isn't all that far outside of that 25-year career. Like, real talk, it's only about 18 months on average because of what we put our bodies through, what we put our minds through, what we put our livers through. And it's like, so what is it that you're waiting to go do?
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, that's a hard conversation to have with somebody, but what is it that you're waiting to go do? And for me, life's so short, it's just, I'm not willing to take those, to waste that time.
yeah. Nightmare starts when you get out.
Yeah. Yep.
So going
Like there's
back,
a build up to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
going back to that day that you're writing this letter.
Yep.
What
March 17th.
happened?
Yeah. So letter's done. And I decided that I was going to commit suicide at midnight. And I decided that because of the military. I mean, just something felt right about the zeros on the clock. I wanted to have that full day. And so right around like 10:30, I got in my Yukon. And again, it's, trying to paint a picture for everybody, but I had this little apartment on the 3rd floor of this building, and the parking lot kind of looked out into this kind of woodsy type of area. And so I started listening to the music of my life, and there's just so many songs that reminded me of certain things in my life, from high school to the Navy, us growing up with like the 90s music. And I was laughing when you said,
best,
man, it's not to like a squirrel, but I was laughing when you said, the 90s today, us saying the 90s now is like when we were in high school saying the 60s. And it's like, oh, like that is so
Hell, we got it
convicting.
worse. It's back in the 1900s.
Yes.
It's like a whole different kind of.
The 1900s. I love it. I love what you said. I'm gonna steal that. Man.
It's yours.
Back in the
Say it, man.
1900s.
Yeah. I stole it from somebody.
Yeah.
Was in the 1900s.
Yeah, and you're absolutely true. But yeah, so I just started listening to the music of my life. I've always been musically inclined. I've loved the way music made me feel, and so I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I remember kind of just sitting there like, all right, and just the resolve that I felt, and I was just thinking about my sons, how they're gonna grow up, and and just being proud of the decision that I know this sounds crazy, but being proud of the decision that I was making to take myself out of the game for them, and that's what my brain was doing, and I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I didn't know in 2017, if you called twice inside of a Do Not Disturb, it breaks through. And so I had my gun, I had my suicide note, and I was listening to my music. And all of a sudden, at about 11:15, the phone rings. And I had like some stupid rap music because I thought I was a thug. And so like it scared the shit out of me. And
Hey, dude,
so
the white dudes from our generation.
the
that's
white dude in the
thing.
car, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I'm right there with you.
So I pick it up.
I still listen to it, okay?
So I pick it up, and it was my buddy Ben. And not Ben from the Navy.
Oh,
but Ben,
not
Ben,
the kid who's
no,
kid.
not,
Okay,
not
check.
so to this day, my best friend in the world. He's the deputy chief of Keene, or lieutenant in Keene, New Hampshire Police Department, and just one of my best friends. And he had called the first time and wanted to leave a message, but didn't. So he called back, and that's what broke it through the do not disturb. And so I picked it up, and he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I said, "Man, I got nothing." He's like, "Why don't you come over and have a beer with me?" I said, "Nah, man, I got something I got to take care of tonight, but maybe tomorrow." And he said 2 things, and I'll tell you both things, and I'll tell everybody that's listening the 2 things that he said to me. He said, "Griff, before I let you go, I want to tell you 2 things." He said, "The first thing I want to tell you is that I love you." And now when I tell you about Ben, Ben's not an I love you type of person. Ben's the dude that you give a hug to and he freezes. You know what I mean? So he was not an I love you type of person. So the fact that he said the words I love you meant a lot. And he said, "The second thing I want to tell you is that you're a good dude. You're a good father. You're a good friend. You're a great cop. And I want you to know that as you're going through what you're going through, bro, I just want you to know that I'm staying with you." And at about 11:15 p.m. on March 17th, I made the best decision of my life. I said, if today's a good day to die, so is tomorrow. I said, all right, man, I'm gonna come on over. Because there's nothing about March 17th, and maybe it was just happened to be that day. It wasn't, people asked me like it was St. Patty's Day, and I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. So I said, I'm gonna commit suicide tomorrow. And I went over, had a beer, and we talked, and wound up playing NHL and on PlayStation and just kind of laughing a little bit. And then on March 18th, I said, you know what? Today's a good day to die, so is tomorrow. And I pushed it off to March 19th and March 20th and March 21st and March 22nd. And every day I wake up and I would say, all right, well, today's a good day to die, so is tomorrow. And I would just go about my day and I would try to string some good decisions together. And I changed that motto to, after about a month or so of doing that, I changed that motto to today I'm gonna do something good for myself. So I'd roll out of bed. Sometimes that was my good decision, just get the fuck out of bed, because I was hurting so bad in my head and I couldn't feel like I had anybody to talk to or go through anything with. But a lot of days it was do something good for yourself. It was go to the gym, start reading a book, start developing something. And then about September, November, October of 2017, I changed that motto to the motto that I live with every single day right now. And that motto is, every day I find an opportunity inside of my 24-hour window that I get to live to do something good for somebody else. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And I do it, and hopefully I say this the right way, I do it selfishly because it provides me so much hope and it just provides me so much good. And what I mean by that is, like, when I do something nice for somebody else, the gratitude that they show or the gratitude that they don't show, the gratitude that I think that they may show or they may feel in their mind, they may be having the worst day in their entire life and I just bought the person behind me a coffee and they don't even know it. Or whatever it is, man. And it just, I started doing that and I kind of found that out off of, just doing something nice for someone and just how good I felt. And it just opened up a conversation. Like on the flight here, one of the ladies that I was talking to, one of the stewardess, I was just in a seat where I was in the exit aisle and she was sitting right across from me, and Tommy had told her that we were coming here to, because Tommy always likes to tell everybody everything that we're doing. He's just the man. And she said, well, tell me a little bit about your book. And I could have taken the opportunity to put my headphones on and go to sleep, but I leaned in and I said, well, my book is about suicide awareness. It's about mental health. It's about emotional health. And she said, I really struggled in my life. Anyway, but so we wound up talking for the better part of this flight. The entire way up, then she had to go do her job, and the entire way back down. And, little things like that, like I take those opportunities to try and do something good because it makes me feel so much better. And I think one of the recipes, like the off-ramp or the way out, is that hope. I think the first thing when people are thinking about suicide as the answer, the first thing I want you to do is get you some hope. And I hope that us being able to sit here and talk about this as men with the things that we've done in our life, I hope if you're listening to me right now, I want you to know, I promise you there's hope. Man, I may not have shit and I may be living on borrowed time because my life was saved back in 2017, but I promise you every single day I have hope. And I hope that you see, and I hope y'all see that tomorrow is a good day and you can make it there and you can make it past today. And, and I took that opportunity. I was I was still working undercover at this point. But again, I'm on the back end of my my career as an undercover cop, but they had to send me to an undercover school, right? And like I've already been doing all this stuff. I've already been, laundering money for the cartels, the Hells Angels, done all this stuff. So I go there, and the speaker was this dude Byron Boston, and I remember he was just one of the best motivational speakers I'd ever met in my life, right? Like, I mean, he's talking about undercover work, and I'm on the edge of my seat, like I'm hanging on this dude's words. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And we got our first break, and I ran up to him. And again, I had like some cornrows in my hair. I got a full sleeve of tattoo. I look like a weirdo. And I said, man, I want to do what you're doing. He said, what? And he said it in opening my book. He's like, man, this white dude just rushed me on a break and just scared the shit out of me. And
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I said, I want to be a speaker like you. So will you work with me? Will you help me? And he did. And Byron and Sabrina took me in, and he worked with me, because again, people don't understand, like, speaking is a craft. It's tough. It's tough to be a public speaker. It's tough to get up in front of an audience and relive your darkest memories and do it in a way that's successful and powerful for other people without just
crippling them.
Yeah, without just
motivating them.
Up. Yeah, and he did that for me, man, and it's been a blessing. And I always say, man, I live on borrowed time. I think we all live on borrowed time, real talk, but God gave me the ability to have this platform, and man, I just hope that people are listening. Like, the three things that helped me when I was at the worst of my worst: the first thing being hope, the second thing having a healthy lifestyle. And we talked about this a little bit with the alcohol. An alcohol-filled mind lies to you. It really does. It weakens your ability to fight. And again, if you got an emotion like depression or PTSD, you need to fight that emotion with something stronger. And if you got an alcohol-filled mind, you can't fight that. It just weakens your ability to punch the devil in the face. And the third thing is just have a person. I failed myself in many ways because I didn't want to say anything to anybody, but there's so much power in vulnerability. And I never used to look at it like that. I used to think that there's weakness inside of vulnerability, but there's not, man. There's power inside of that. And the more that I was able to open up and just say the things that I just said, to one of my heroes in this world, there's power inside that. And if you don't feel comfortable with a person yet, start with a journal. Have a person or have a journal, and just start writing it down, man. Like, oh man, I gotta, I'm a squirrel. But so last June, I was in a real dark place, man. I was struggling a little. I have an autistic son. I have a 14-year-old autistic son, and he struggles a little bit. He's attempted suicide in his lifetime, and I try not to talk about him because I get emotional with him, but cause it's my son, but he's doing great. But last June we were struggling a little bit, and I listened to this podcast, and I really don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but have you ever met a guy named Micah? Gosh, what is Micah Fink? He's a Navy SEAL, and he started something called Heroes and Horses.
Yeah.
And so
I was talking about him the other day, but somebody brought his name up.
So I'm telling you, this is and so last June I was struggling in a dark place, and I was listening to him speak about this Heroes and Horses. And so, man, as an angry, just as an angry person, I was sitting all by myself. I didn't have my children. I was just kind of mad about everything that was happening. And so I just started typing away at this application. And I literally said in the application, I said, I know you're not going to fucking listen to anything that I say inside here, right? I know you're not going to read this. And so I just going at it. And man, I got a call 2 weeks ago that I'm a finalist to be part of Heroes and Horses in 2025. Yeah.
Yeah, call you all the horsemen.
It's out in Montana. It's like 41 days. And again, I'm a city boy, so only time I ever rode a horse was on my honeymoon, and I swear I got on Seabiscuit. Because, man, that dude, he just took off running with me, man. And I could not walk for my entire honeymoon. So,
I would have broadened you.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, he'll broaden you.
I was the first one. You had to hold on to the little thing in front of you, right? And then the first horse passed, and man, Seabiscuit just took off. Like, he was gone. And I'm just, the whole week, I was like, I can't even sit down. I can't, he hurt me.
Yeah.
He hurt me.
So funny.
I grew up on a ranch, so every time I would get back, I'd go to the horses.
Yeah.
Not knowing that it was, and then I also hunt with my boys, and we'll do a horseback hunt.
Yeah.
For what it is, man, when you're standing next to something that's more powerful than you, kind of comes down, and it helps.
Puts life in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You just realize that sometimes, like, we think we have so much power, but at the end of the day, the earth has that power.
You ever watch something that really stops you in your tracks? Well, for us, that was the movie Warfare. It's a new film by Ray Mendoza, an Iraq War veteran and Navy SEAL, and also by Alex Garland, the man behind 28 Days Later and Civil War. This story drops you right into an apartment building in Iraq with 13 Navy SEALs on a surveillance mission. But it's not just about the mission, it's about the brotherhood, the tension, and the weight of every single decision that they make. It's raw and unfiltered, and because Ray actually lived it, you really feel the authenticity in every single moment. The cast is also incredible. Will Poulter, Kit Connor, Charles Melton, and the way that it's shot, you really feel like you're in it. Start by watching the trailer, links in the description, or you can check out our previous show with Ray Mendoza, then go check out the first look and to see how this thing really came together. Warfare hits IMAX and theaters everywhere April 11th. Trust us, this is a movie you're not going to want to miss.
Have you ever gone back and talked to Benny?
So I'm gonna get emotional with this one, but I'm gonna.
It's all right.
So the scariest day of my life was when I hit publish on my book, because it was my inner darkest secrets, but I knew that I wanted to do it, and because I just wanted somebody else to read it and say and put the gun down, and so I hit the publish button. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I'd ever hear from them again, because again, I'm telling them that I failed you, and nobody can tell me if I didn't respond to that call. Even right now, like I still pray about that a lot. Like that's something I had to eat for a long time. And Brittany's grandmother, so Benny's grandmother, reached out to me on Facebook, and she said, I just want to let you know that I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that I didn't respond when the call came out. And she said, Matt, please don't ever be sorry. You were our earth angel that day and that leading week. And she just said, we love you, and I'll make sure I tell everybody that you said hi. And that's the only.
How'd that feel?
Marcus, the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders, bro.
It was like taking a vest off.
Man, that was you want to talk about it. I mean, I don't want to say it was a good feeling because of the gravity of what it was, but man.
No, it's not what it's something different.
It was something different.
Yeah.
And I mean, the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling like I could breathe again. I feel like I was okay again. I felt like, because again, like they put a lot on me because they didn't really, they didn't have a lot of people inside of Virginia Beach, and so they put a lot on me on like the wake, and like, we dressed up. I had to be there for the wake and like be there ahead of time and help dress, Benny Jr. and everything else, and they had him dressed up as Spider-Man, and and just so I was doing all these things to make sure that the family was okay, but yeah, it just released a lot from me.
And nothing weighs on you harder than the families.
Yeah. Real talk.
I freaking.
Yep.
I can say one word to you and put a weight on you like can't believe.
Yep.
And it's real.
Yep. Because I didn't know how they were going to respond. Like, you could have saved my grandbaby.
Especially when it's your job.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for it.
Yep.
That's why we sign up.
Yeah. And again, like I just used to eat it all the time. Like, why didn't I just go, man? Somebody and I have these nightmares, and I wake up in the middle of the night screaming. My wife at the time was like, what's going on? I'm like, no, I just this job. But
and those suckers sneak in there on you quick.
They will. And
I hate those things.
And then once you get locked into, to whatever it is that you think you should have done, and again, a lot of us do this, right? I should have made a left when I should have made a right.
They play it out.
And if I got there 15 seconds early, I would have prevented this. Or if I got there 15 seconds later, it wouldn't have happened to me. And maybe I shouldn't have pulled the trigger. Maybe I should have done this, and this. And you wind up going through the A, B's, and C's of how you got to that point, and you second guess everything that you could have done. And at the end of the day, it just, you have to remember that it all happens the way it's supposed to happen, and we got here, and you got to go through it,
Yeah, the good Lord drags some of us all the way down the bottom.
Sure does. And I think there's no, I feel, I don't even know what the right way to say this is, but like I feel like because I was able to hit that bottom, and I feel like every single day I know that no matter what happens to me in this day, that I can get through it, because it's never going to be as low as I was.
No, yeah.
You know, so I feel like it gives me strength to know that no matter what happens today, I can get through it.
It's like a full squat.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
That's you, and guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it like that, man. I've been put to a full squat.
Yeah.
And you said something earlier when you get down there. Somebody pointed this out to me. He said, "Hey, man, do a solid for somebody and don't say nothing,
Yeah.
and see when it comes back. Just actively look
Yeah.
for somebody to openly do a solid for you that you never expect. Just start.
Yeah.
One a day, one a week, something
Yeah.
like that. Just do it. Anytime you see an opportunity, like walk around looking for an opportunity to do a solid for somebody.
Yes.
And walk away.
Yep.
Don't say nothing.
Yep.
And see what happens.
Yep.
The boss has got a great sense of humor, man, and he will put you into just see.
Yeah.
And you'll know exactly what we're talking about. It's real.
Yeah. I mean, look where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, it really happens.
You know, 7 years ago, I had $1.13 in my checking account. Now I'm sitting across from Marcus Luttrell.
So,
you know?
I mean, it's get Jesus in there, man, when if
Yeah.
you ain't got nothing else.
Yeah.
The what if shouldas kills everybody. And even just people that are going to read your book or the people online, there are going to be people that say, yeah, if you would have done that. But you know what that does? If you're a believer,
Yeah.
that's saying that you're more powerful than God, because that's God's timing. There's literally nothing you could have. If you were 30 seconds before, something else would have happened.
Right.
There would have been something else, because we don't know why,
Yeah.
but that was God's timing. And if you put it on you, it's taking it away from Him.
It's true.
So the what if shouldas are just an awful way to bury ourselves and to make us feel horrible. It's like letting the devil win in this game.
You know, that's funny, because I've never looked at it like that. As much as I put faith as a priority in my life in a lot of different aspects, I never looked at it about taking it from the Benny situation. Does that make sense? I've never put it into that. I put it in a lot of different aspects of my life, but I've never put it in that. I've always put it into the point where, like, God had a plan for Benny's death in my life to be able to, because again, so what happened for me from there is, again, I was a Catholic, and I decided that I wanted to figure out, like, I was a cop, I was a detective, man. I wanted to figure out whether or not I'm going to church every Sunday. Why am I going to church if I don't, if this 2.5-year-old just died in my, right in my hands? So I went out and I started being a cop about it. I read these books, wound up going to Lancaster Bible College. I shit you not, I can't even make the story up. So I go to Lancaster Bible College and online, and I was that dude in class, and I'm like, all right, so the Bush is talking. Y'all are good with this? No way. I got a question about this. Like, the Bush doesn't just talk, and I wound up getting my degree, my bachelor's degree in the Bible. And just
Really?
Yeah. How crazy is that? Yeah, I got my bachelor's
You're a
degree.
theologian, huh?
Yeah. So,
Nice.
Yeah. But only because I wanted to make a decision on whether or not I was going to be faithful for the rest of my life, right? All these things that started happening with Benny and with Brian and everything else, and I said, well, I'm either going to go to, and I went about it real talk. Like, I didn't know which way of the fence I was going to fall. I mean, my best friend Ben, the one that saved me, is a stout atheist. He's like, no, there's no God, right? And I love him to death, but I mean, where I sit here today, God is the biggest influence in my life. When I drive in a car by myself, I pretend that God is riding shotgun. We're having a conversation. We're talking.
He is.
Yeah. And when I take the opportunity, before we were sitting in the Uber on the way here, and we were trying to figure out how to get y'all's house. And I just started praying. I said, God, I want you to speak through me. I want you to use my mouth and use my words. And I wouldn't do any of this stuff without him. And
I was talking,
But yeah, I never looked at it from Benny's
Yeah, you're taking
situation.
it away from Him.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he put you there for that, to be the faith,
Yeah,
and like a real one.
yeah,
Talking to another guy the other day, same thing happened to him. Kid died underneath him, and he was a Catholic, and he's like, I just stopped going. I was like, well,
yeah,
that's the reason you were there.
yeah.
To take that hit, to show that the faith is.
Yeah.
You can't take that part away from it.
Yeah,
It's hard though.
yeah. But yeah, I just think that it has been a big piece of my life, since then. And when I say borrowed time, I always say, God used an atheist to save my life. And, every day that I can pay that forward. I mean, the response that I got from the last podcast that I was on, again, I'm not a very, private person, so people can find me. They can find myself, and they can find my Instagram or whatever it is, and they just.
How do we follow you?
Yeah, so author Matt Griffin on both Facebook and Instagram, and then my website is authormattgriffin.com, and but people can reach out and message me, and I would say after we aired that last episode, I had to block off about 2 hours every day to respond back because I wanted to make sure that every single person got a response from me. And
there'll be more.
Yeah, and I told them, man, look, like, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a clinician, but what I will tell you is that these are normal emotions and normal feelings that you're going through. And a lot of people in our world, especially as men in today's society, they tell us that we're not supposed to, that we're not supposed to be going through this stuff, but it's okay. And I want everybody, and I know we're probably getting ready to close this down, but I want people to know that it's okay to not be okay. Man, it's just not okay to stay this way. And again, I was back and forth on whether or not I was going to do this or not. And I don't know if y'all want me to do it or not, but one of the things that I like to do, or what I have in I do what's called performance poetry. And so I don't know if y'all are interested in having me do it, but I gotta grab my.
That's a good way to write that.
So if anybody's not familiar with what performance poetry is, it's I take words and I kind of act them out. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's to different things, but what I did was I put down what I thought was going to be the last 2 hours of my life, just the emotions and the feelings and everything that came along with it. And again, there's a lot of power in vulnerability, and to me, this is the ultimate, not the ultimate, but this is a big aspect of vulnerability for me, because this is something I didn't think that I was going to share with a lot of people. And so I'll just do it and let y'all decide.
Come on, man.
So, all right.
Let's go.
All right, this is called The Light. They say when you die, you see it. A light at the end of the tunnel. Like a train coming at you from the darkness. Like a bullet flashing suddenly. It's 10:02 p.m. on March 17th, 2017, and the gun in my hand feels almost weightless. It's been 2 weeks since my partner committed suicide. Combine that with my ex putting my bank accounts on ice, and this is a bitter mixture. The kind you just have to tilt your head back fast, close your eyes, and hope you don't notice the burn of the shot. Well, this tunnel, it only moves in one direction. One way down, one choice, and not even one thing left to live for. So tired of the strain of my sons seeing their father as a failure. But I got to be strong for them. Zeros is midnight in military time. My time is up. I wrote my suicide note. The final words, all that'll be left of me, but it reads like a poem to my sons. I know you won't understand this, but please know that I love you more than anything. You are my light in bad times and my sunshine every morning. It's 10:51 p.m. Do you remember your first dead body? I do. I saw more trauma in one day than most will see in a lifetime. Suck it up, Griff. Shut your mouth, Griff. Can someone just say it's going to be okay? Can someone tell me about these nightmares will go away? Because if you're not strong enough to see it, then it's not the job for you. Mechanical disposition, worn like a uniform that never quite fit. Save my firecracker, save my firecracker, she screamed. As her 2-year-old took his last breath in my mouth during CPR. It's like the hollow eyes of men with guns to their temples of this moment's embedded like bullets and skulls in drywall. The flash and noise of violence, the blood spatter, the shattered bones, my voice echoes between screams. Please, don't do this. Those smiling family photos on the walls of the person that was alive only seconds ago. Look, we're taught to normalize nightmares as an occupational hazard. We speak crisis like a learned language. Those midnight patrols starting with roll, we always see somebody wrapped around a pole. I look at the clock one more time. It's 11:13 p.m. Look, we're all one step away. One choice, one accident, one misstep from having ourselves lost to our own darkness, because these addictions and these demons like divorce and alcohol and anger, they drive us to addictions that take our hands. They tell us that we are worthy of feeling good again, like we deserve the slightest relief from the secrets that we've been forced to carry, the silence that we've been told to shoulder. Look, guys, I feel the pull to forget. I know the pleasure of wanting to escape this pain, these memories, these broken pieces that have gathered together that resemble someone worth saving. But sometimes when I look in the mirror, it breaks under the weight of its own reflection. The gun in my hand feels a little bit heavier now. It's just about time. Look at the clock. It says 11:45. Who you are to be, you are now becoming. That's what Aristotle says. So who am I? I'm the cop in the car that you hate because I was seconds too late. Don't you have something better to do, cop? Yeah, tonight I sure do. Read my note for one last time. Even when the curtain closes for us all, the show will live on. I've lived the best life I could, but I wasn't good enough. I wasn't strong enough, but I can be now. I want to see that light, but maybe that light is never coming. Maybe the light is one that here, one that I hold in my hand. A flash in the dark. Lightning bolt. Choose. Choose. Who you are to be, you are now becoming. Well, guess what? I'm becoming free of the memories that I was trained to swallow, like the knot in my throat, the canary in the coal mine. Why can't we talk about this? Countdown begins. I'm tired. Just ready to leave this all behind. It's 11:58. It's 11:59. And it happens, a flash in the dark. It's not from my hand, it's my phone. Someone is calling. It's the last voice I will hear, and it's the name, it disappears as my friend. It's Ben. Yo, Griff, let's get together. I got something to do just for an hour. I think my body slumped over the steering wheel. The police officer at the scene. It's a scene that I've seen so many times before. He says there's light at the end of the tunnel. I said, all right, I'll come by, because guess what? Tomorrow is still a good day to die. Well, tomorrow, it turned into a week, and a week into a month, and a month into a year. And all it took was just one person to be there. One person to say that it's going to be okay. Now, look, I'm not here trying to tell you that it's going to get better, but I promise you it will get easier. Because if you go through it, you'll get through it. So this is for you. To all the men and women, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, law enforcement and military alike, who didn't get a chance to see the light, who didn't have the signposts to lead them to get the help that they needed, because the number one leading cause of death in police and military, it's not homicide. It's suicide. Hear me. We're tough enough to talk about it. We are tough enough to ask for help, because there in the darkness, when the pressure pushes you down, I promise you, you can make it. One step at a time. With every person you share, with every story you put down, with every boulder you drop, one by one, you will discover dawn, because the tunnel isn't the end. The only way out is through, and that, my friends, is where the light lies ahead for you. That's The Light by Matt Griffin. Thank you.
Good job, brother.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Man, that felt great, man.
Good.
That felt really good. Yeah.
That's so good. I know that's hard to do when you're.
Well, I think there's a lot of power in vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think, as I would speak around the country.
That's pure strength.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. As I would speak around the country, people would line up afterward to buy a book, but I realized, man, they weren't trying to buy a book. You know what they wanted to do? They just want to come and say, hey, man, I'm struggling too. When we have conversations like this, and people look at you and who you are and everything that you're able to do, and you have somebody like me on the show and I'm vulnerable, man, I just want to say thank you for doing that, because I think you're saving a lot of lives, man. You
too, man.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll listen for those words now.
Yeah.
Like when people come up, I have trigger words.
Yeah.
I'll text my buddies. I got my guys dying too, just like that. And I'm like, hey, man, find one buddy, and that's your buddy. Check on him every Sunday.
Yeah.
When you send him a text message and sit there and wait for the response. If it says fine, hit him up.
Yeah.
Says I'm okay.
Yeah.
Call.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's trigger words.
Yeah.
I look for them, and I'm like, I just want to. If it's anything other than like, I'm hungover, I'm like, fine, I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, we got you.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Call me, get them up.
You know your boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if those come across, and then you get the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That sucker pops up in your head for more than 5 minutes. You better call somebody.
Man, look, like everybody that's listening to the show right now, when I read that, they were thinking about somebody. Let's be a Ben.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Make that phone call.
Whoever popped up in your head when he was going through that poem, man, call him.
Yeah. Send him a text. Tell him you love him.
Something.
Let's save a life today.
Be the asshole that shows up.
Yeah.
Walks in the house like, what are you doing? No, they're just kind of hanging out by myself. Want some downtime. Kick the door in, walk in, go straight to the refrigerator, and then hit the couch with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And
show up with a pizza and a Nintendo or something.
Yeah.
Make him remember that moment.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's powerful.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Keep going.
Trying, man. I'm trying, man, every day.
This is how it starts.
Yep.
Like I said, man, full squat. Now you're going back up.
Yeah, I mean, every no, I'm one step closer to a yes.
That's right.
And there's so many things that I'm trying to accomplish in between the book and between hopefully getting a movie deal and things like that. It's just every no And that's another thing. Like I know, man, God's got a plan, and I'll put it out there right now. I know that at some point it's gonna happen, and I have faith in that. And I can see it. I got a vision of it, and I know that every time when somebody says, "No, it's not the right one," like I've submitted the screenwrite to hundreds of people, and it's too long. It's too this. Cool. I appreciate that no, because that just means I'm one step closer to getting that yes. And there's gonna come a day here, and
that's how that place works.
Yeah, there's gonna come a day where somebody's gonna say yes, and I'm like. And I'm already gonna have my no response. Like, I'm sorry, I felt like you said yes, but it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
Hollywood's starving for some great stories.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, even though our stories are tragedies, there's dramas, tragedies, comedies.
Yeah,
that's life.
Yeah, yeah.
So and people respond to the Marvel movies and all that stuff's great and it's entertaining, man. But they really respond to like the movies we had when we were kids.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, that's true life.
Yeah,
those are the ones you can watch over and over again, and you know the words.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, thank you, man. God bless you for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute one of the biggest blessings of my life.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.